Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Market Open. It is Thursday, December 5th, 8:46 a.m. I cannot be as loud as I usually am. I'm going to have to keep it a little bit calmer because I am at a hotel still in New York City. But nonetheless, the show must go on. We are here, and we've got some stuff to talk about because some things happened yesterday. And, those things are resulting in a little bit of momentum. Did I say market close? See, this is a problem. Let me change it to market open. We are here on the market open. The audio might not be perfect today. Again, sorry. I'm using, hopefully this mic doesn't have a crazy echo. If it does, let me know. I'll try to adjust it the best I can. There is no brick wall here, correct? There's no brick wall. But we're here today. All right, so we've got some stuff to talk about. Obviously, this thing that we're seeing right now in the pre-markets, audio's pretty good. Okay, perfect. As long as it's pretty good, that's good. I'm in a hotel because there's another thing happening today. I can't say anything about it. All I'll say, follow me on Twitter. Keep updated on Twitter. Even if you're not following, just keep my Twitter open because there will be some things happening later today. So just that's why I'm still in the city. I did not travel with the bell, so we will not have the. We're probably going to play like a YouTube clip of a cowbell because we got to play something, but we're not going to have the actual cowbell. Also, I think some of the other guests in this hotel might not be that happy. This is what we got going on in the pre-markets, folks. $43.05 on Robinhood. Obviously, this is happening because they had a crazy investor day that I'm about to talk about for the next 15 minutes and get all my thoughts out there in terms of what happened. Bitcoin as well. We were covering this last night. I'll talk more about Bitcoin after Robinhood. This is a reason why Robinhood is up right now because Bitcoin obviously above 100,000. We hit 104,000 last night. I mean, last night I was just working in the same spot. I was typing some stuff up on Twitter. I was writing up some posts, and then out of nowhere, I get this notification from my phone by Robinhood that says Bitcoin's over 100. And I'm like, oh, is that what it was supposed to feel like? Like, it's like that, like, it was so like, it just happened. It just like, I was like, oh, okay. All right. So here we are. And then we get to 101. And then within like, I think 10 minutes, 102 and another 10 minutes, 103. And then within like, I think 2 minutes from 103, we got to 104. And now we're back at 102, kind of at 103 right here, 102.9. But you got Bitcoin right here doing pretty well. MicroStrategy, as a result of this, is up right now, 8.5% at 440. You got BitX that is up right here at 67.28, up 8%. Marathon obviously up right now, up 5%, 27.25. You got CleanSpark right here, up 4%, 15.41. Coinbase was up big as well, 346, up 4.68%. And then you have Hood, which Bitcoin is helping, but also their investor day was very important, up 7.13% currently, 42.85 in the pre-markets. All right, so let's talk about Hood. I'm going to spend the next 15 minutes getting all my thoughts out there on this investor day, and then we'll go forward and get into all the other stuff that happened. Yesterday was a wild day in the markets. I'm sorry we didn't have a market open, market close. I mean, if there was any day to have a market open and market close, it was December 4th, 2024. We've had some pretty wild days in the market. Yesterday was one of those days. I mean, I got home to the hotel and I just like start seeing J-Pow talk. J-Pow talk today? When did that happen? Oh, it's Sam Altman was talking. He was like, yeah, ChatGPT has 300 million weekly actives. Like, what? When did that happen? Jeff Bezos was talking. He's like, Jeff Bezos, like, yeah, I kind of like Trump. You have all this crazy stuff happening. Sundar was talking. You had a lot of news yesterday that happened. One of the biggest pieces of news, obviously, we didn't get to cover yesterday, but rest in peace to the United Healthcare division CEO who was killed yesterday in New York City. I was on Vlad's on CNBC. All right, let me get to that real quick. I was with Roy Crossroads in the train on the way to New York City when we got that news. And it was just like, oh my goodness. Like, it was just, I mean, like that was one of the most wildest things ever. So rest in peace and prayers to his family. But that did happen yesterday and added to like the craziness of what was ultimately happening yesterday. I don't see Vlad on CNBC right now. I think you probably saw a headline that he'll be on CNBC later. So yeah, probably in the next hour, we will transfer to CNBC and we'll probably get Vlad live when he's there. We have the Shyam Sankar news as well in terms of Shyam Sankar might be leaving Palantir to take a role at a government agency. Like so much stuff is happening. Jarek Isaacson, Shift4 CEO, leaving to do NASA. Like if there was any day, yesterday was the day to talk about what was going on in the markets. But nonetheless, I think we missed market open and market close for a good reason. And that was because of Robinhood's investor day, which is what I want to talk about right now. Yeah, deny, defend, depose was found written on the shell casings at the scene of the CEO who got shot. Yeah, and I'm still waiting to get more details and like learn about what happened. I don't really want to talk about anything without the actual details being there, but that was very, very sad to see. But that did indeed end up happening yesterday. And it's one of those things where a lot of things happen in the markets. A lot of things are affected. We were walking down the NASDAQ when that headline was also coming on CNBC. This is the first time I got to go to the NASDAQ yesterday. That's where the event was. And it was just wild to see all these different things that were actually happening. XAI scaled to 1 million GPUs. Yeah, so you're giving me all these headlines. I can't even get to the Robinhood Investor Day, but so much happened yesterday. And we'll try to talk about it as much as we can today. All right, so Robinhood Investor Day. Let's start off with this. Vlad is on. Why is he not? What do you mean Vlad is on? He's not on my... You gotta be on? Let me see. Oh, there it is. There it is. All right, he's on. All right, so I'll give my thoughts after this. Here we go. Here's Vlad.
Tanib saying the company's considering expanding into sports betting, and Robinhood stock has quadrupled, I should say. I was going to say quintupled, quadrupled over the past year. And Vlad is on the set right here, ready to do the Squawk Pod. You haven't done Caller Data yet. Would you consider that?
Maybe, yeah.
Have you done Rogan?
Not yet.
Not yet, but yet everybody wants Rogan. See, it's all moving the direction of travel.
Call me a mother. Is that
that's you want that's the name of your show?
Thinking about it.
I think that could work.
That's only half a word.
I know, but that's why I think it would work. So Vlad, it's great to see you this morning.
Great to be here as always.
Fascinating day yesterday. Before we get into that, I want to actually just hit Bitcoin for just a second with you, if you'd indulge me, because it's over $100,000 now. I think it's about 102. Are we at 103 yet?
We're at 103.
And fascinatingly, one of the things that did happen yesterday also was Jay Powell compared it to gold. I want to show you what he said.
People use Bitcoin as a speculative asset, right? It's like gold. It's just like gold, only it's virtual. It's digital. People are not using it as a form of payment or as a store of value. It's highly volatile. It's not a competitor for the dollar. It's really a competitor for gold. You know, that's really how I think of it.
That seemed to me to be an evolution of thinking, at least from the sort of public officials that you hear from Washington on this.
Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin over the past 10 years has gone from largely being ridiculed and ignored and questioned to now being taken very seriously. You saw that earlier this year with the ETFs. And I think if you talk to early adopters of Bitcoin and Bitcoin maximalists, they've been saying that Bitcoin is like gold for many, many years. So hearing the Fed chair
but hearing getting over 102 now, where are we at? I don't even know where we are. 103.
102.8.
102.8. Do you say to yourself that, I mean, I don't know what kind of traffic you're seeing on the site right now. I assume it's gangbusters.
We released our November numbers. Crypto trading in general was up something like 400% month over month. We did over 30 billion in crypto volumes. October was also quite a strong month for crypto. So it's been heavy, certainly.
So, and then of course the big question is, are you getting on the train at the right time or the wrong time? You get to these big numbers and then you say, it just has so much more to go. We obviously have had some real bulls on this broadcast over the years that have, $500,000 targets, $1 million target, really extraordinary kinds of numbers. Obviously, by the way, the bigger the number gets, the harder it is to actually get the same kind of return that you had if you were, with the program, if you will, a decade ago.
What I will say is likely one of the other interesting things about Powell's answer to your question is that when you compare Bitcoin to gold like that, a lot of the Bitcoin maxis have been talking about, should there be a Bitcoin strategic reserve similar to, the gold strategic reserves of the country. And I think that gets people very, very excited. I mean, if there was a Bitcoin strategic reserve and you're a Bitcoin maxi, like that's something that
it also just seems that this administration, I don't know what you think of the new appointed or the nominee to be the head of the SEC is a big crypto a bull in many ways. No?
Yeah, I mean, this current administration has been hostile to crypto, very much so. I mean, we've been kind of a victim of that alongside the broader industry. So having people that come in that understand it and embrace it is very important.
Just so I understand, what do you think embracing it means for your business? Meaning, what is it that's going to happen? What are the kinds of products that you think could evolve that you can't offer today that you'll be able to offer tomorrow?
Yeah, so the near-term thing is ending regulation by enforcement and having some sort of interim rule set
Right.
by the agencies while we wait for legislative action. I think that likely will happen now, since both the House and the Senate and the executive branch are Republican and they're open to this. Slightly longer term, I think what this opens is crypto being embraced as kind of the new infrastructure layer behind the financial system. This is something I talked about at Investor Day. You know, one way to look at crypto is as a tradable asset like equities, options, and futures. The other way to look at it, which I think is more interesting, is as the next step in the technology evolution from mainframe to cloud to blockchain. And we see how efficient it is as an infrastructure layer. We run both businesses, crypto and traditional finance at scale. Crypto businesses 10 times lower costs. And that's because a lot of these intermediaries that run on mainframe, like clearing houses, transfer agents, payment processors, are just replaced by software. So I think what you're likely to see is tokenization.
And you think that's the big shift?
I think that having more real life assets, real world assets, including stocks on blockchains is going to be, there's big potential. I think Robinhood can actually be a leader in that space.
The hell, I mean, that chart doesn't do it justice. You were $16 a stock in August.
That's right. Yeah, I think that's right.
What the, I mean, that's not Bitcoin. What the hell is that? That is just
I think that
transaction volume and just the bull markets and the new highs and.
Well, the
There's
business
gotta
has
be
been
more to
growing.
it.
We now have 9 business lines generating north of 100 million in annual revenue. So when we went public in 2021, the business was not nearly as strong and diversified. And so the work that we put together over the last couple of years to diversify the business and grow across all dimensions.
You had a party yet?
Well, we had the Investor Day, which is kind of like a party. I mean, it's informative, but hopefully also a little bit entertaining.
Was it at a club? I mean,
It was actually right here.
Well, it gives,
We're
you,
at the
it
NASDAQ
gives you a
upstairs.
chance to
Amazing.
show people
Right.
what you've done
Well,
and talk about
tell
it.
people the 10-year story. And I think the really exciting thing about zooming out is Robinhood's expanding across 2 independent vectors. One is from primarily US to global,
Right.
and the other is from retail only to business and institutional.
So that's why I wanted to ask you two related questions, because on the retail side, there's this interesting new business, potential sports betting.
That was taken a little bit
That was-
out of context.
Okay.
That 100% was taken out of context, dude. Yesterday, the big headline, I'm sure you guys saw it, was Robinhood CEO is getting ready to get into sports betting. I was there. They asked a question, and Vlad was like, yeah, you know, it's not really on the list. And he gave a technical answer because future contracts like they did on the election are not really sports bets. Like it's a whole different regulated industry. And so he was like, yeah, but we're looking into it. And then every headline's like Robinhood's going after sports betting. It's like, no, they I don't think they really care that much about it, but they're looking at it, but it's not a big deal.
I think if you read the headlines, it makes it sound like we're doing sports betting. So we launched a product for the election,
Right.
presidential election markets, which are CFTC regulated swaps, derivatives. And so the question was, do we intend to expand the range of that? And the answer is yes. We want to launch a much more comprehensive events offering because that product did very, very well. And I think that it's a great source of information, not just a tradable asset. Now, of course, regulated sports derivatives would have to be approved by the CFTC. Right now,
So you're not a competitor to DraftKings yet.
no, I wouldn't expect us to launch sports betting soon. But I also wouldn't rule it out, you know, but we talked about many things. That was a Q&A response that I think was taken a bit out of
Do you
context.
remember the actual print on the all-time high? Do you remember exactly what it was?
For Robinhood? I think it was,
44 and change, I think.
no, I think it was 80,
What?
somewhere around 80.
Am I
Yeah.
looking at that must have been, I was looking at a monthly chart. It must have been there very quick.
August 2021.
And then back down pretty quick. Let me see. So you got to wait. That's when you got to have the party, I think. Let me just look.
Well, we try not to get too excited because I've been through so
This
many
is
of
a
these
monthly,
cycles.
which doesn't show that. Yeah, it does. It does show it, but it doesn't show it on the side. 85 was the high print. Now that I'm looking at it.
Yeah. I
Gentlemen,
think,
We got to say thank
We're out
you
of the show.
This is a little bit of a weird interview, not going to lie.
because we got to hand it off to our
Party.
good friends on Squawk on the Street. We will have our own party right here, right now. But in the meantime, party on with the guys on Squawk on the Street. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a weird interview. I mean, they barely let the guy talk. They were asking about stuff that didn't matter. He didn't really get to talk about their November metrics. That was kind of weird. But at least Vlad got to clarify the whole DraftKings sports betting thing. All right, now let me get to my analysis on Investor Day. So I walk in. Me, Tanner, and Roy are kind of early. I think we're about 20 minutes early, 20 minutes before like the things get really started. And Vlad's sitting over there with some of the C-suite execs. And I walk over, and he immediately sees me, and he embraces me, and he's just like, "Yo, we haven't talked in so long. You went to India, you didn't come to the Legend event," and I was like, "What is happening right now?" Like it was really cool. And then we talked basically for the next 25 minutes. And the number one thing I have to say is that Vlad is one of the most down-to-earth people on this planet. I mean, like the fact that he took the time to talk for 25 minutes, and we talked about a bunch of subjects that I'll talk about right now. The fact that he knew I was in India, he was like, "How was India?" And in my head, I'm like, how'd you even know? Like, you knew I was. He was like asking about the family and stuff. I was like, it was just one of those things where it's like someone actually cares about you. And, we get to talking to all these different things. And then he ends up saying that, because I asked him, okay, so how does it feel? The stock went from 8 to 40. Like at this point, how do you feel as a CEO, as an entrepreneur, all that stuff? And he said, when the stock was back at $8, I think this was December 2023, and the sentiment was in the gutter. Markets in general weren't doing that well, so it wasn't the best environment for Robinhood. Obviously, the stock was down like at that point almost 90% from its all-time highs. I think he was at a hotel room for some reason at some event or whatever. He was just scrolling through Twitter. He does scroll through Twitter. He's publicly said he checks Twitter. He sees how people are thinking of the company, all that stuff. And he found my tweets around this time. I'll be sharing my original Robinhood thread from December 2023. So just keep updated on Twitter. I'm going to be sharing that later today because I found that thread. And he found that thread, and he was just like reading it after feeling like kind of like shit, right? Just given the sentiment around the company. And that's when I was like, guys, at $8, I think that the risk reward is kind of like massive here, blah, blah. And he was just like, finally, this guy gets it, right? And from that moment to now, obviously having done the podcast, the interview, and then the company transforming and them totally rebranding the way, you think of Robinhood. It's not just a meme trading app. It is so much more. And I'll get into some of the ways that it is so much more. That has been a transformational journey for Vlad. And, he was just really grateful that retail people were at the event. He was happy that he was actively trying to take questions from retail analysts during the Investor Day Q&A portion, which they took it was about 50 minutes of questions. Like they answered a lot of questions, and Vlad would constantly say, give the mic to the retail analysts. Like he wants retail to know that this is a company that was built for them. And I think he really enjoys the process of retail analysts like myself actually kind of growing with the company over the past year. So it was just an incredible experience. I mean, they went through their vision, their 10-year vision. The presentation was on their investors' website. And if you look at that vision, there's so many stats to come out from, but the number one stat is like the most important one to me. Robinhood does about $2.5 billion of revenue per year annually. They have a $600 billion TAM. And that's not just throwing that number. They kind of like quantified and broke down how they could get to $600 billion of revenue. Obviously, they're not going to get $600 billion, but like the fact that opportunity exists based on the TAM, that is why Deutsche Bank upgraded them to 42. Mizuho upgraded them to $60. And you're seeing the stock price reflect that right now because a lot of these analysts at this investor day were looking at this, Robinhood right here, 42.71, and they were like, oh my goodness, if Robinhood just executes against some of these visions, they have a variety of different things they're working at. This is not just a finance trading stock app where people download to buy some crypto. This is going to be one of the most important financial services company in the world. They also announced that they're beginning to expand to Singapore, which was really exciting because a lot of money is in Singapore, a lot of wealth is in Singapore, a lot of people are in Singapore that would love a better experience. And so that's going to be their next market that they're going after. So the overall takeaway from the investor day is that Vlad has a lot of people around him that care about him and care about the success of the company. I got to TAM is total addressable market. For those that are asking, TAM is total addressable market. I got to talk to Steve Quirk, which was awesome. He's the chief brokerage officer. He came from E-Trade and Morgan Stanley, so he brought all of his experience of 20 years into Robinhood. I got to speak to the head of credit. I'll talk more about it later because it gets a little bit more nitty gritty. But we asked them, hey, what's going on with the credit card? How are you guys navigating this? And they gave a really in-depth answer of why it's taking so slow to roll out the credit card. By the way, I got the card. They gave everyone who was at the event a card, so I officially have my card. I'm gonna get 3% cash back for the rest of my life now, hopefully. So got the card, but they were able to explain those answers. The head of crypto, I got to talk to him. He was explaining his answers. It was really cool. It was a really, 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 really cool event. And then finally, I talked to the chief of staff, Vlad's chief of staff. And, she introduced herself to me and I was just like, all right, so name one thing you like about Vlad or you love about Vlad. And she said the same thing, which is that he makes employees feel safe and excited to work their asses off every day. And the reason that matters, we'll talk about SoFi in a bit. They had a institutional investor sell off their shares yesterday, and that's why SoFi is getting a little bit of a hit. The reason that matters is because, and there was the joke that was running throughout the event, which is that Vlad overpromises, right? And this year they've been over-delivering, but in general, he overpromises. So the team will have an idea to put out a product. Like we were talking about the election contract, and he was like, yeah, dude, that was a game time decision. Like the night before, we didn't know if we were going to launch that the next day. But like the engineers just like hustled in and they put in the overtime hours, even though they weren't getting paid extra for it, and they shipped the product. And so what the chief of staff was telling me is that Vlad makes all these employees want to work hard because he has this North Star that he is ambitiously fighting for. And he has created a top-down culture, a top-down environment where people will be rewarded if we actually are able to execute. And obviously shareholders get rewarded if you execute, and users get rewarded because we get all these products that so many people care about. And so you could just tell by talking to the employees how much they love this guy, how much they care about him, how much they want him to win, how much shit they saw him go through in GameStop in 2021, and how much the company has transformed. And they're just so happy to be here at this moment. They're really, really happy to be here in this moment. I'll give a broader summary on Twitter on the Investor Day. I'll actually write down all my thoughts because there's even more I have to say. But it was just very, very special to see how that played out. Peter Girardi, think of the $5 super stab. Would it be smart to wait for a good dip on Robinhood or just pull the trigger because long-term it's going to be great anyways? Look, I bought it at 37. Do I really think there's a big difference between 37 and 42? Not really. Could there be a dip? Sure, because the markets have run a lot. So like if you buy it at 42, you've got to buy it knowing that there absolutely could be a dip because markets are up, right? You just can't expect things to potentially not have a dip. Now, does there need to be a dip? No, especially with the momentum, especially with the catalyst, and especially with crypto, how it's working. There doesn't need to be a dip. So I don't hate it at 42 based on the momentum that we saw. And I think this stock is going to be a triple-digit stock in the future. Also, by the way, guys, I forgot tomorrow S&P 500 is a rebalance. And Robinhood, Workday, and Trade Desk, they're like some of the top 5 candidates that are on the list to be in the S&P 500, which would be a massive catalyst. And that could be another reason why the stock is going up right now. Will they get in? I have no idea. I'll be live tomorrow in the market close. We'll find out. But the Investor Day, I think, was another step in trying to get into the S&P 500. Because what do S&P 500 companies do? They talk to investors. They outline a vision. And the S&P 500 committee, they want to see like, hey, are you a mature enough company where you can actually like show us that you're ready to like explain your vision and deal with the pushback against that vision and still persevere and actually give us a roadmap. And I think that Investor Day could be a reason for why they get into the S&P 500. If that happens, I think, the stock can do well. Now, I don't know if it's going to be a Palantir bump because Robinhood already has like 80% institutional ownership. Palantir had less than 50%. So I don't know how many institutions will be forced to buy, but we probably will see some more buying if they get included. And that's important. Another reason I think 42 and this valuation is not crazy at all. Again, we didn't get to talk about this because there was no market open yesterday, but did you guys see these November metrics? I was on the train with Roy when this came out and we were looking at it and both of us couldn't believe what we were seeing. 400,000 new accounts. They get 75,000 on a good month. 5 billion net deposits. That's their second month of 5 billion net deposits. 190 billion assets under custody. Last month it was 160. 145 billion of equity volumes. This is the most in 3 years. 150 million option contracts. That is similar to last month at 158 million. 30 billion of crypto. If my math is correct, which I believe it might be off by 4 or 5 million here or there, but they just did $120 million of revenue in the month of November on crypto. Last quarter, they did 60 million in the entire quarter. They did double Q3 in 1 month, and Bitcoin hit 100,000 in December. I don't know if we're going to get another 30 billion of crypto volumes in December, but I mean, like, now Bitcoin's kind of getting to the point where like you're starting to see more people come in. So December might even be strong as well. And then you have $6.5 billion of margin balances, which again is really good because that number was like less than 4 billion earlier this year. And it was 6.2 billion last month. So it increased by 300 million. So when you put all those metrics together, put the analysis around the actual earnings and or the potential earnings based on these numbers and what they showed up in Investor Day, I think it is a really special story. And look, at the end of the day, behind these people, behind all the numbers and the upgrades are real people. And I got to meet a lot of those real people yesterday. And not only were they grateful, for my coverage and what I've been able to do to kind of hopefully shine a light on the stock and the story, but they were really grateful for just like being part of a mission and also being able to work for Vlad. That was a big, big deal for them. And so it was very, 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 very exciting to kind of see that Investor Day and how that ultimately played out. Final thing I'll say right here, and then we'll move on into everything else for the day, is I met a bunch of you guys at the Investor Day. So here are 2 pictures on Twitter. A couple of you guys walked up, took some pictures with us. Shout out to Ahmed. This was awesome. He said, Amit, I know who you are. No. He said, he didn't even say my name. He was like, he just looked at me. He was like, oh my goodness. And I started laughing. He was like, Amit, I'm like, yeah, I work busy all day, but when I'm on Twitter, I see, oh my goodness, I have to scroll down and see what you're saying. So that was really cool. We met Jonas. Shout out to him. This was awesome seeing everybody. And then obviously we got a picture with the man himself. So this Carhartt, right? I thought I would look cool wearing it. Yes, I guess I'm just that short compared to Vlad. It is what it is. Everyone was clowning me, not only for the freaking boots, which did I wear to seem a little taller? Maybe the world may never know, but also it's cold in New York City. Okay. And when it's cold, yeah. And then it's not really snowy, but still you tend to, you don't wear like Skechers during that time. And then the Carhartt, I got this on Black Friday. And I was like, hey, this is like, it's going to look cool. I'll find an outfit for it. Apparently the outfit ended up being Robinhood Investor Day. And my God, the comments. Chad over here said, let's be real. Those boots have never seen mud. 149 likes. I'm like, all right, that was a good one. And then Matt says, where's Carhartt? Hasn't touched the hammer since birth. 55 likes. I was like, all right, you know what? Then Evan right here. Imagine wearing a Nets hat in public. I actually got a lot of shit for this. I don't really care about the Nets. I just like the colors on this hat. It's a nice, like regular beige color. It can match with a bunch of outfits. And yeah, I got a lot of shit because we were in New York and, Knicks is what people care about. So nonetheless, it was really cool. Then this person said either he's incredibly tall or you're short. Honestly, not sure which it is. Vlad is definitely very tall. And, I'm relatively short, 5'7", 5'8" on a good day with the boots. So it is what it is. The coolest moment of yesterday, though, outside of everything, we were going in to see Steve, and then we'll get into all the other market news to get a steak, which, look, I made my claim yesterday. I'm not going to argue for it right now, but I still think medium well is the best steak ever. I tried it again yesterday. It's better than medium rare. I think medium rare is propaganda people buy into. Medium well is the right way to eat steak. There is Steve. First of all, that is going to be the best meme ever. He looks like a jacked Clark Kent. I don't know why he's not smiling right here, but this is hilarious. We got to crop this out, and the caption should be like, when she says she bought Ethereum over XRP, like that's got to be the caption because it's absolutely hilarious, bro. It is incredible. Second of all, before we went in, like seconds before stepping into this restaurant for dinner, guy stops me on the street, and his name is Alex Chinchilla. So shout out to you, Alex. If you're in the chat, leave a comment. He says, Mitt, that's you? And I'm like, yes, what's up, bro? And he's like, I work in construction in New York. I have you in the background every morning listening. It's so cool to meet you. And I was just like, whoa, that's wild. That's wild. That was like, because a bunch of people at the Robinhood event, like, they're like, hey, Amit, I watch your content. Like, that makes sense because we're at Robinhood, we're at the event, all this stuff. But for a random guy on the street of New York, that's never happened before, to be like, yo, I listened to you in the background. That was cool. That was really, really cool. So overall, it was just an awesome, awesome day because I got to meet a lot of people and I loved meeting people and talking to them. And that's why I think the meetups in 2025 are going to be so special and so important because I met a bunch of different people yesterday that had all these different ways that they consume the content, all these different ways that they found the content. And it was just really special actually putting a face to the people that are watching every day. Someone like Alex, who literally is working in construction, but just has me in his ears all day, just listening in the background. Like that was cool. That was really, really, really cool. And so I'm really looking forward to the meetups. That made me even more excited for the meetup goal of 2025. And I think it'll be fun to meet all you guys and kind of see who everybody is that's watching every single day and keeping up with the content, because I'm just so unbelievably grateful for it. But this photo of Steve is the best photo ever. And I think this photo of Steve was better than anything else that happened yesterday. It was better than meeting Vlad. It was better than getting recognized. It was better than the investor day. It was probably better than the November metrics. This freaking photo of Steve, because we took 2 of them. And on the other one, he still looks like he's upset. And when I called him last night, I was like, why do you look upset? He was like, because you guys were stopping me from eating my steak and making me take a picture. And I was like, this guy, by the way, after we had this nice steak dinner, what does Steve do last night? He orders Chick-fil-A. I'm like, how do you, like, you're actually like, are you bodybuilding? What is going on right now? Like, this is incredible. And then a big breakfast before steak, blue pancakes and or blueberry pancakes and all this freaking eggs and bacon. And I'm just like, you're a tank, bro. You're a tank. Nonetheless, that's what we had yesterday. It was great to see Steve in person, Tanner in person, and Roy in person as well. But Steve absolutely is a tank. He said he's not bulking, but it looks like he's bulking, right? For those that don't know Steve, most of you guys know Steve. He calls in onto the show pretty much like every other day. And yeah, it was really cool to meet each other in person in all seriousness. And I was just super grateful to see everybody. And it was very, very exciting to actually meet people in person. It's the baby blue shirt for me, dude. It's that you guys have to cut out that meme, and the amount of captions we're going to come up with that meme is going to be amazing. The amount of captions we're going to come up with that meme is going to be amazing. All right, cool. So let's get into everything. Jonas right here. Oh, he's in the chat. Awesome, Jonas. Thank you for the $2 super chat. Nice meeting you, Amit. Medium well is the way. Thank you. Medium well is the way. Medium rare is nonsense. I don't get it. I don't get medium rare. I think medium well is the way. Bobby G, thank you for the $10 super chat. Appreciate you, Bobby G, being there. At the end of the day, Robinhood, incredible investor day. It was really awesome to meet Steve, Roy, and Tanner. Actually, as men, it's hard to make friends. The fact that we were all able to enjoy a meal together, I don't think it'll be the last meal we have. Very special to me. Roy got to stay at my house. That was awesome. Getting to meet you guys at the event, that was amazing. Getting to actually sit and talk with Robinhood's leadership, and for them to like actually, just like interact with you and explain their vision and their ideas. It was really awesome. It was really, 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 really awesome. And all I can say is I'm very blessed to have covered this company. I mean, look, when I was buying the stock at $8, I did not think it would turn into a journey. And it's turned into a journey. And for some reason, we're like 2 for 2 on these journey stocks. Palantir has been a journey of its own. And that journey, one could argue, is still just beginning. And then Robinhood is its own journey. And it's just really been special to have 2 founders who have a vision. They're executing against it. And it's just been amazing to be on my own journey covering these companies as well. All right. Let's get into the rest of the market news that we got going on right now. So we have a lot of headlines. We have 12 minutes until the market opens. Let's start off with SoFi. Why is SoFi down right now? So Silver Lake, which is one of the OG shareholders of SoFi, they sold 3.1 million shares yesterday at around 16. Now, I don't think this matters. SoFi right here is down 1.9%. SoFi is barely down right here, down 2%, not that big of a deal. Also, yesterday they held 16. I think they closed above 16. Yeah, they closed at 16.32 yesterday, even with the sell-off. So for those worrying about the SoFi shareholder selling off stuff, I don't think that matters. I really don't think that matters. Those shares were gobbled up very quickly. And I think that it's probably not going to matter long-term either. So from that perspective, not that big of a deal. It was funny. We did talk to, I think Tanner told you guys, he met the guy who was in The Big Short, who was part of his name is Vincent. I forgot his last name, but he was part of The Big Short who he was part of the team for the person who led The Big Short. I'm forgetting the actual names, but the point is he was played in The Big Short as a character. He was one of the pivotal guys, and he was at the event, and he hates SoFi. He hates them so much. He was just like, dude, we are so against, they're not short SoFi, but they just don't like it. They don't believe in the vision. I was like, what about the tech platform? He started laughing. He's like, what fucking tech platform? He's like, what are you talking about? He's like, it's a lending business, a bank, yada, yada. He was giving Tanner a bunch of shit. And I was like, what about Hood? He's like, we are long Hood. Hood is a Hood. They are executing. They have a vision. There's a strategy, 90% fixed cost. They're moving. Now, look, I still think SoFi will do well. My price target is 20. I think 25 by next year could happen. But you do have some of the institutional people that don't think of SoFi much more than just a bank. And that was actually interesting to see, to actually talk to someone who manages a lot of money, who was, part of big financial events in the past, saying, yeah, we really don't see any value in SoFi. It was interesting to kind of see how they're thinking about it. Nonetheless, I think SoFi is going to be in a tailwind for financials in 2025. And if the tech platform shows any growth, that's also going to be very, very important. Oh, Vincent Daniel, there it is. Thank you, Crossroads in the chat. Vincent Daniel. That's going to be also Yeah, so Vincent Daniel is one of the guys that was basically saying that. And it was interesting because, again, when they're comparing stocks, they've had a lot of experience. They don't have to always be right, but the way they're comparing it, the way they're analyzing kind of how things have happened in the past, the way they think of banks and lending and all that stuff, they just really didn't see the tech part of SoFi's vision, which is fair because the tech platform hasn't scaled that much. But nonetheless, if they can do that in 2025, that would be really important. Tanner, me and Tanner were talking about SoFi and Hood. I know some of you guys in the chat were asking, hey, can you compare SoFi and Hood? And, I'm long SoFi. I have my SoFi options, not selling them. I think SoFi sees 20 and hopefully we can take 3,500 and turn it into 50,000. That would be an awesome, awesome trade. But Tanner was a little annoyed, and he said this publicly, that Noto has not, or SoFi has not done an investor day event like Hood, right? And it's one of those things where it's like the majority of their retail base is still shareholders, but I think Noto's in this world where he's ex-Goldman, so he's so so I don't want to say rigid, but just kind of he has this older mentality of what a shareholder should be like. That's why the company has never reached out to shareholders to actually talk to them, do an interview, stuff like that. And so the one thing I think we expect, the one thing I realized, and again, I could say I'm a little biased here with Hood, so take it with a grain of salt. I think Robinhood outlined a vision to actually dominate multiple verticals, multiple sectors, and multiple parts of the world in a way that is unheard of when it comes to financial services because they have a product-focused leader at the helm that is not slowing down. Guys, they're doing 3 events next year. One of them is in freaking France. So by the way, that Europe trip I wanted to do, we're going to France, baby. We are going to be in France in the summer. They're having a crypto event in France. I'm going to come 2 weeks early. I'm going to try to do Italy and the UK. Like the Europe meetups is basically solved now that Vlad and Robin is doing this event. So I think they have a vision where SoFi doesn't really have that larger vision per se, or at least they're not personifying it in terms of the engagement with retail shareholders, innovation, etc. And so can SoFi still do well? Yes. And SoFi's doubled so far. So I don't think SoFi's a sell. I just think from Vincent's perspective, there is a fundamental difference between how that company is approaching their execution and their innovation and their plans versus what Robinhood is doing. Both can still do well, but that's just one of the arguments that we heard yesterday as well. Okay, so that's what we got in the context of SoFi. So let's go around pre-markets and see what else we got going on. Bitcoin, 102,000. Okay, so let's talk about Bitcoin. Yeah, Bitcoin, 102,000. This is absolutely incredible. Couple reasons why Bitcoin got to 102,000. Number one is Paul Atkins was selected to be the SEC chair. He is much more pro-crypto than Gary Gensler, and that is why or at least that's what some banks this morning in their research notes said is what pushed crypto over 100,000. It was kind of anticlimactic. It just happened. And then you're like, all right, boom, here we are, 100,000. We have not touched below 100,000. Maybe we will never see below 100,000. We're going to kind of see how that plays out. Donald Trump right here on Truth Social this morning. He says, congratulations, Bitcoiners, 100,000. You're welcome. Together, we will make America great again. The fact that a president-elect is saying this right now is just like, I mean, how much more bullish do we need to be about Bitcoin? The president, one of the most powerful mans in the world, is saying, congrats, Bitcoin's 100,000. That's great. It's just one of those things, dude, where it's just like, it is absolutely incredible. On top of that, you got El Salvador right here that is now up $600 million, or they have a total of $600 million in Bitcoin. They have enough to pay back the IMF on the debt that the IMF gave them a decade ago, which is insane because when they were buying Bitcoin years ago, no one thought they would be able to pay back that debt. People thought they were going to have to default, which is like, it's a really tough situation to default with the IMF. And they thought that Bitcoin was going to go nowhere. They were one of the countries that believed. And now if they wanted to, they could actually pay off that debt just by using Bitcoin. Maybe they don't have to sell the Bitcoin. Maybe they can get a margin loan against it, pay off the debt, and then just use the Bitcoin as collateral over time, especially if all these banks are like, yeah, we like Bitcoin as collateral. We like Apple stock as collateral. We like Tesla stock as collateral. We love Bitcoin as collateral. You're going to see a lot of people not having to sell their Bitcoin. They can just collateralize it to do what they want to do. So Bitcoin at 100,000. The momentum is there. The excitement is there. Trump is about to get into office. You've got a lot of pro-crypto people getting into office. Robinhood, Dan Gallagher, who is the chief legal officer at the investor event, basically was talking about the sentiment shift based on crypto deregulation that's starting to happen, or just the weight that's lifted off their shoulder because they think they can actually put out products and not have to be afraid of what they're doing. And so that is why I think we're seeing some of the momentum that we are having right now in the context of Bitcoin. So another thing that happened yesterday, which was not good, and look, I don't even think I can say I told you so because everyone said this was happening. This was my first reaction when the Hawk Tuah girl was going to launch a coin that there would be rug pulls. There was rug pulls. The coin was up like 1,000%, and then it went down like 95%. She was on Twitter Spaces last night with CoffeeZilla. You guys probably know him. He's the guy that exposes a lot of people for scams. And her team apparently made $3 million within 24 hours. They said that they didn't That's kind of smelling like bullshit. And then one fan actually put in 1.4 million and came out with 46,000 because, as you can see, this chart is not a nice chart, to say the least. It's a pretty nasty looking chart, and that all happened within basically 24 hours. So this is kind of the bad stuff that happens with crypto. When you get this much momentum and excitement, you have some rug pulls like this that happen. This is froth in the system. But the point is, the coin is not up 10,000%. The coin is down 90%. And that's good, because the people that lost money in that, or the people that made some money, they're probably putting it into actual things that matter, like Bitcoin. And unfortunately, I hate when celebrities do this. I hate when this stuff tends to happen. But it is a reminder to the broader crypto ecosystem that there's a couple of assets that matter, and there's a lot of shit that doesn't matter. And I think that froth, once it gets flushed out, it only is more bullish for Bitcoin, even if Bitcoin going up as a byproduct creates some of these frothy events like the Hawk to a Girl having this coin go up. The CoffeeZilla Twitter Spaces last night was ruthless. I mean, he was asking them like really investigative questions. They couldn't answer those questions, obviously, because a lot of them, from my perspective, it felt like they were just lying and they didn't really know what they were doing. And so some of that froth in the system hopefully is leaving, which is good, ultimately, for Bitcoin at the end of the day. Doug says, I don't care, Amit. You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. Yeah, it's hard to feel super bad for the people that invested in that thing. It's just, I mean, what can you say? Like, this is what happens with celebrity meme coins. But nonetheless, the fact that they took a little bit of a loss, maybe that just proves next time we're not going to go down this route. Bitcoin at 101,000, right now it's at 102, is now a $2.0 trillion market cap company. It is number 6 behind Alphabet, which is number 5. Apple's at number 1. By the way, Apple's at all-time highs. It's been hitting all-time highs every single day over the past week. Nvda right here at 145. Nvda also great day yesterday. I mean, talk about a rebound. If you bought that 132 dip last week, you're up 10%. $3.5 trillion market cap. Then you got Microsoft, Amazon, Google, and then Bitcoin. So Bitcoin right here rising up the ranks and continuing to gain more and more momentum. Rob, thank you for the $19 super chat. Amit, this is off topic, but I noticed that you are more focused on big picture economics and earnings, et cetera, as opposed to detailed charting. Do you feel charting has become less important in this current market? I think charting is still very important, especially in a bull market, because it helps you define entries and exits. We weren't able to do Technical Tuesday on Tuesday because Roy was over at my house. So next week we will do Technical Tuesday. And yeah, we do a segment every single Tuesday, for those that don't know, for literally about 2.5 hours on the market close, just on technicals. And we cover like almost 50 stocks every single week. So I think technicals definitely do matter. I think big picture macroeconomics is very important in this time, but getting into Tesla at 350, the big picture macro person will say, no, Tesla's like scaling, optimist, yada, yada, move on, buy to 350. It doesn't matter. You don't need to wait for 330. The technical analyst might say, hey, you can get a better entry price at 330. So it's just a question of what you care about when it comes to actually getting an entry or not. Speaking of Tesla, we got an upgrade, folks, on Tesla, which is why Tesla's up in the pre-markets. Bank of America raised Tesla to $400. Bank of America last time raised Tesla to $365 all the way from $250, which is pretty incredible because they raised them by $100, and the argument was just like Trump. Like, that was their argument. Now their argument is getting a lot more sophisticated than just Trump. Take a look at what they said for why Tesla is getting to $400. I mean, I saw this morning and I was like, oh my goodness, it's happening. And we've been talking about it on the show every single day. Optimus, baby. Look at what the analyst said. Optimus is currently used by Tesla to sort 4680 cells with no intervention. Tesla is testing Optimus in various use cases to refine the robot and determine a final design. Tesla plans to have 1,000 Optimus robots in use by the end of 2025, with primarily within its plant operations. With more robots in use, training will accelerate. While Optimus currently accounts for only a single-digit percentage of Tesla's compute capacity, we expect the resources allocated to Optimus will grow as the robotaxi technology matures. This increased focus will drive an acceleration in Optimus' capabilities and ultimately to increase production in 2026 and beyond, thereby helping to drive costs down. The entire analyst upgrade from 350 to 400 has nothing to do with FSD, nothing to do with Trump like it did last time. It has everything to do with Optimus. Folks, this is just beginning. I cannot be more bullish on the humanoid robotics sector. Tesla is the only public company where you can really get exposure to robotics. So I think it's a winner takes all in the context of the investment capital from the public investable set of cash that is out there. It's going to Tesla if there's any progress in the humanoid robotic space, even if it's not with Tesla, the company itself. But I do think it will be with Tesla. And the fact that Bank of America says, yeah, we gotta upgrade these guys on a random Thursday for Optimus, like, there was kind of no need to just randomly do this. It must mean that the Bank of America people, the institutional guys, are seeing so much progress in the context of the humanoid robotic space that they ultimately had to invest or upgrade Tesla. And I think that's not going to be stopping anytime soon. Okay, so we got the market open in just about 10 seconds. I don't have my cowbell, but fear not. fear not, because there is no way that we can have a day without the cowbell. So 30 a.m. Thank you, everybody, for being here. The stock market is now open, and it's time to ring the bell. Whatever bell it is, you got to have that bell in, baby. All right, let's get into it. Stock market's open. Robinhood, $40.69. All right, so you got some rejection right here. It was at 42.62 in the pre-markets, now at 40.70. We'll see how the market ultimately interprets it. Obviously, you got a lot of people taking some profits at 41.42. That's okay. That's probably healthy. 41.14 on Robinhood. I do think we could close the day above 40, which would be a second day in a row of closing above 40, which would be amazing. Robinhood right here up 2.35, 2.75% on the day. Coinbase is up 2.75%, $339. CleanSpark 15.59, up 6% on the day. Marathon 26.95, up 4% on the day. MicroStrategy 441. There you go. MSTR was almost at 460 last night on the overnight markets. So obviously, Bitcoin going up definitely helps MSTR. So you got MSTR right here doing pretty well and showing that their premium to net asset value still continues to gain some momentum, even if Bitcoin is, even if their premium already is large, because Bitcoin right here is at 102,000. Dow Jones closed at a record high yesterday, along with the NASDAQ and the S&P 500. So yesterday was a big, big day for the broader stock market. S&P 500, look at that, 6,007. By the way, JP Morgan thinks that Tom Lee's right, and we can get to 6,300 on the S&P 500 by the end of the year. Now, they do think 6,500 is a 2025 target. So if they think that 6,500 is a 2025 target, they're not thinking there's too much upside. They think there might be some pullbacks in 2025, which is fair. But nonetheless, if we get to 6,300 in December, folks, that is going to be a big, big month for December. And obviously, that's going to be very important for the stock market. And for those that want to take some profits in January, you might have a decent opportunity to take some profits. Tesla right here, back to 52-week highs, 365, up 2%. All-time high is 414. It's about 12% away from those all-time highs of getting there. But Tesla's there. Is Palantir vertical? Is Palantir vertical? Palantir was down in the pre-markets. Oh, look at that Palantir, $70.79. There you go. It hit 71.37. I don't know why Palantir's up today. I only think it's the rebalance that's probably happening really soon in the QQQ, which I do think is going to happen. I really do think Palantir is getting in. The top contenders for that are Palantir and MicroStrategy. There's a couple other names if I can pull up the chart. I don't know if they let MSTR in. If they do, that's going to be wild, because that's going to be a lot of institutions that come in. But I know Palantir is definitely on the list, and I really do think Palantir is getting in, but I could be wrong. It's Palantir, MicroStrategy, Equinix, CME Group, Interactive Brokers, Coinbase. I didn't know Coinbase was on the list. The NASDAQ, Axon, DraftKings, and Arch Capital. I think 3 or 4 of them get picked, and so we're going to see if that happens to Palantir. Palantir 7103. Okay, another thing about Palantir that was really important, you guys probably saw the headline yesterday. Shyam Sankar is being rumored by Politico as being tapped as one of the chief R&D officers inside of the Pentagon. I don't remember the name of the exact role, but the point is, people have been saying, hey, does he have to leave Palantir? Yes, he would have to leave Palantir. That is a position where you cannot do full-time working for a public company. So I don't know. I mean, look, the rumor's out there. The rumor got leaked by someone, which means maybe there's an argument that he leaves. I don't necessarily think that's bearish. I actually think that if Shyam Sankar, is the former CTO of Palantir, is at one of the head agencies in the government that can decide how to procure software and technology R&D, like Palantir is probably first on that list in terms of recommendations. So I think it's relatively bullish. I don't know if he's going to leave, but that is another headline to pay attention to when it comes to Palantir. Shyam's been at the company for over 2 decades, so maybe he would want to go serve the country in this role, but maybe he would want to stay at Palantir. But Palantir right here, $70.94, up 1.5%. MicroStrategy right here at 437. Rocket Lab 1.88%, 23.54. Nvda down a little bit on the day, just turning green, but Nvda incredible day yesterday. There's a couple headlines on Nvda we'll talk about in a little bit. One of the big headlines for why Nvda was up yesterday, 4%. Their next generation chip with TSM preceding the one that comes after Blackwell. The street thought it would be ready in 2026. They're going to start producing it at the end of 2025. So that's a 6-month, or that second half of 2025. So that's a 6-month boost in terms of expectations on the next generation chip, which is bullish because they're going to get their supply chains ready for 2026 to ship out the next version of what these hyperscalers likely will be buying. So that is why I think Nvidia is getting some momentum right here. Microsoft 439, Nubank 1213, Nike 78.47, Palantir right here 71.05, Robinhood $40.72. Where is MSTR? MSTR right here at 441. CleanSpark up 10% on the day. Marathon up 6.5%. SoFi's down again because Silver Lake sold some shares yesterday. I don't think that's a big deal, but SoFi is down on one of their largest shareholders. Not largest, one of their earlier shareholders selling some shares. And that's why SoFi's down. Tesla right here at 367 currently. right now. SoundHound, yeah, there was a couple other stocks yesterday that had big days. Oh, CRM. So SoundHound right here is up 10%. So congrats for those who are in that name. CRM, Salesforce, down 2% yesterday, but it was up 12% yesterday. Look, Salesforce grew 8%. I don't think like that revenue growth was that impressive. However, I heard the stat, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, I heard they're hiring 1,400 new employees dedicated to handling AI demand. If that's correct, and I'm not wrong on that, and the fact that they have to hire another 1,000 people just to handle all the AI momentum that they're seeing, even if it's not reflected in the revenue growth yet, yeah, that means Palantir is going to get more momentum. That means software companies are going to get more AI tailwinds. That means the age of software looks like it's here, or the age of AI inside of software looks like it's here. And ironically, 8 months ago, people thought that software was dead because of AI. So narratives have fundamentally changed. Palantir right here, 71.47. And I think Salesforce earnings was actually really bullish for Palantir. Palantir can accelerate to 35 to 40% growth. That is going to be a very, very big deal. Blake says my portfolio old new high again. Congratulations, Blake. Congratulations to everyone who is getting some of those all-time highs. Is Grab down on the day? Is Grab getting a little hit? Yeah, Grab's down 1.79%. So Citibank issued their sell-side report on Grab today. They talked to investors like 2 days ago. 590 is their price target, and they basically said, hey, we think this is a growth story. They're profitable, EBITDA margins. Like, we think there's a lot of verticals they're exceeding in, and that's really good. I wouldn't mind if Grab comes back to $4. I have not fully built out my position. I have started, though. I found extra cash in different places. I am up to, I think, 2,400 shares roundabout. Average is like 520, 522. We'll see, like 524, whatever it is. It's in the 520s. And I would love for it to go down to $4 and try to build this up to like a 10,000 share position. I'm getting more and more conviction on Grab. But nonetheless, notice the price target from Citi is 590. This is not a stock that's going to move $7-8 easily. There's 4 billion shares outstanding, and the analysts really have to see profitable growth. So this is a long story for me. 2 years, price targets around $10 by January 2027. But if they execute, they have a chance to get there. It just might take some time. So Grab right there down about 1.88% of the day. Not sure why it's down, but they got a good price target upgrade yesterday from Citibank. Palantir right here, 71.65, trying to get back to 72. I don't think we touched 72 outside of the pre-markets. We did touch 72 in the pre-markets a couple days ago. But right now we're here currently at 71.35 currently right now. Suraj, thank you for the 10 gifted memberships. Appreciate that, brother. Thank you for being here. For those that got the 10 gifted, appreciate that as well. And thank you all for being here on the chat today. Austin says 1,400 employees is correct. Yeah, you don't hire 1,400 employees if you're not getting a ton of demand. And it looks like that is indeed happening. Robinhood right here, $40.13. So look, Robinhood momentum is very strong, but we also have to understand the stock is trading at like not all-time highs, but very, very strong levels at 52-week highs. I would not be surprised if this goes back to 37. Why did I buy it at 37 last week? Because it went to 39. It had strength, came all the way back down to 36, 37. I bought more in that range because I thought we would get back there. Now we touched 42.70 in the pre-markets, 43 at one point, came back to 40. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to know what those November metrics look like in terms of revenue growth. And that's why we touch those elevated levels in the pre-market. Right now, market open, people are selling off, taking some profits. So you're seeing it decline a little bit. Maybe it goes back to 37, 38. If it does, that's personally a dip for me to buy because I saw with my own eyes, not only their 10-year vision that the investors are very impressed with because we got a bunch of upgrades today, $60, $42. We got two $40 upgrades yesterday or 2 days ago before the investor event. But also those November metrics, I mean, that sealed the deal for me in terms of how big this quarter can be. Now, December continues to hold up with that execution. This quarter is going to be a really big quarter, but that doesn't mean the stock can't, retrace back into the mid 30s, just given that it's been on a very, very strong run and has a lot of momentum. So nonetheless, right there, Robinhood, $40.58. We'll see if we can get a second $40 close. CleanSpark right here up 10% on the day. Iren is up 6%. CrowdStrike's down a little bit on the day. Microsoft's up a little bit. Nubank's up. Where's Meta? Meta, by the way, congrats to those who are in Meta. Every time I think I'll have a chance to really buy this stock, doesn't end up happening because this one just keeps running. The reason Meta is up right now is because they are spending $10 billion in Louisiana to build out a data center. Okay, what does this mean? What are the implications? Number one, it means that Meta is still investing in more AI. Everyone is like, oh, whether they're not going to increase their CapEx. You're wrong. You're wrong. They just announced they're spending $10 billion in Louisiana to build out more CapEx for more AI. That's the first thing. That's also bullish for Nvda, which is why I think Nvda was up yesterday as well. Number two is Meta is doing something with like fiber optic cables in rural parts of the world to like set up broadband connections and like control systems of internet access to people. kind of similar to Starlink, kind of not. I haven't read too much into the story, but the point is they're trying to expand even further in terms of their CapEx built out, not just for AI, but just for providing internet to more people so that obviously they can get on Facebook and Instagram and start using their products. So I think that's why you're seeing Meta momentum right now. A lot of analysts have this stock at around a $675 to $700 price target. They're trading at 27 times earnings, 23 times next year's earnings. It's not crazy expensive, but it's also not amazing. Like, let me get into it because it's up 70% year to date. And again, that's the theme of this market over the past couple months. Even Reddit was at 130 the other day. Now it's at 152. Like, it's hard to buy a lot of stuff when it's up so much, and a lot of money. Hims right here up 1.4% is chasing because they, just didn't end up getting exposure throughout the entirety of the year. Tesla 400 soon. Let's see. A lot of technical folks are saying Tesla looks like it wants 400. 368 on Tesla. The judge couldn't take Tesla down with the compensation headline. Gavin Newsom excluding them from the EV tax credits couldn't take them down. Trump getting rid of the EV tax federal credits couldn't take them down. Like, the momentum's there, folks. It's there. Optimus is coming, and you're getting the street that's excited about Tesla. You're getting the street that's getting very excited about Tesla. Oh, Grab got downgraded by HSBC. Okay, so I'll read that later today. I'm curious. I want to see what that downgrade is about. Yeah, so we'll read that. Let's try to find out what they said. So we got one upgrade yesterday, one downgrade today. So that's probably why it's currently down right now. Okay, cool. What else do we have going on? Bike Pimp, thank you for becoming a channel member. Appreciate that. Thank you, Bike Pimp, for becoming a channel member here today. Soundhound, is that still moving? Soundhound right here is up 14%. Does anyone know the news on this? Because I don't know what the news is on this one, but this one's up. Palantir getting hit at 71, back down to 70.33. The fact that I'm saying Palantir is back to 70 is insanity, but we are back to 70. We hit 70 on Monday or Tuesday. What day? I don't even remember what day it was. Like, this is incredible, bro. Absolutely incredible. Anyway, we're back to 70 on Palantir, down from 71. Honest, where is Honest? HNST, Honest right here, 833. Honest is up a little bit. And then Archer got hit a couple days ago. Archer is 742. Archer up 6% today. It's not bad. They got hit badly from $9 back down to $6. Now it's 743. Soundhound rolled out voice service with a taco restaurant. Okay, cool. That's that's very dope. I guess that's what it takes for Soundhound to get some love. Taco restaurant. There we go. HSBC downgrades Grab but raises the price target from 420 to 550. Yeah, see, and this is what happens when stocks are breaking out a little bit. Like, they can't justify a bad price target because they know the growth doesn't justify 425, but they're probably downgrading them for whatever. I'll read through the downgrade and we'll see if there's anything legit there. But the fact that they have to raise the price target shows that, like, yeah, it's hard to deny the growth is there, and the price can't reflect that low of a target if that growth is actually there. SoFi, where is SoFi? SoFi. Are we still getting hit on SoFi? We are indeed getting hit. 1587 down 2.8%. Again, the news is Silver Lake sold 3 million shares, one of their earliest shareholders. I really don't know if that's a big deal. I really don't think that freaking matters at all. Like, all right, one of the oldest shareholders took some profits. Not sure why that matters, but that, I think, is why SoFi is currently down right now. Oh, SoFi's offering the SpaceX stuff. Tesla 370. Yes, Tesla. There you go. 370. Guys, if I had the bell, I'd ring the bell. Unfortunately, I don't have the bell. But and I think the people at this hotel are probably happy. By the way, I'm not at a hotel. I'm at a hostel. And I thought when I was going to come into the hotel yesterday, I was going to be greeted by the front desk and, it's a proper hotel. I walk in and it feels like kind of like a shitty Airbnb, to be honest. And I was like, what is this? And then I call Steve and he's like, are you at a hotel? I was like, yeah, but I think it's a hostel. And he's like, why the fuck are you at a hostel? I was like, I don't know. I went on hotels.com, which is not hostel.com, hotel.com. And that's what I booked. And apparently I ended up in a hostel. So yeah, it's good I don't have the bell because some of these people are probably upset if I'm bringing it in the hostel. But Tesla 371. So as I was saying that story, Tesla went from 370 to 371, up 3.65%. So there you go. There you go right now. Tesla getting some momentum at 370. How much of their position did they sell? They sold all of it. They sold, Silver Lake sold all 3.1 million shares. All 3.1 million shares. What is the place called? Chris, I'll text you. They have good reviews, though. They have 50,000 ratings, and it's 4-star. So, Chris, I'll text you the name of the place. But, when I got in, I was like, dude, this is not a hotel, bro. Where's my room key? Where the hell am I, bro? But it was cheap. It was $350, which is Still freaking expensive, dude. I couldn't find a place for like less than 700 in New York. So I was like, oh, I found this great hotel for 350. I'm a genius. And I found it 2 days before I had to come here. And then I get him like, oh, this is not a hotel, this is a hostel. But it's been good. It's not been horrible. It's not as bad as the one we had at AIPCon where like that place was just not the best place. Yeah, $350 a night. Yeah, $350, bro. It's expensive in New York, but it's the cheapest you could get in New York. That's how bad it is. So Tesla right here, $370. Okay, so the SoFi SpaceX news. I'm sorry, guys. I don't think that's news. I really don't think that's news. So yesterday, SoFi announced that you can be if you're an accredited investor, you can get access to like invest in SoFi or invest in SpaceX through SoFi. From my understanding, you're not investing through SoFi. You're investing through Templeton, and SoFi's referring you through Templeton, but like they're just clearing the accreditation process. First of all, I don't know how many of the 8 million members of SoFi are actually accredited. Accredited means, you have $1 million net worth, or you're making at least, I think, $250,000 a year or $300,000 a year as a joint couple. SoFi does have much more wealthier members than the average neobank, but still, I don't know how many people are like, yeah, I'm super accredited and we're going to invest in SpaceX. Second of all, you are paying a juicy premium on SpaceX at 350 billion market cap. I'm not saying it's not worth it long term, but you are exit liquidity for someone who got in at like a $20 billion market cap. And the fact that it was 250 billion 2 weeks ago and they upped it to 350 means they saw so much demand, probably from companies like SoFi saying, hey, we have a ton of investors that might want to invest. That's not a bad thing. It's just to say, like, it's not the most exciting thing in the world to me that you can invest in SpaceX through SoFi, because it's not actually happening through SoFi. So that's not a really big deal. Also, again, this goes back to the argument around SoFi. Again, I like SoFi. I'm long SoFi. I think they can hit 25 next year, but that's not innovation. I'm sorry. Like offering a referral program so people can invest in one of the most highly valued private startups on the planet is not innovation. It's just not, right? And so focusing on stuff like that to me is what I hate about SoFi. Like, why are you focused on that? Please focus on like stuff that matters to innovate on the company. But nonetheless, that's the route they're going. And so that's not affecting the stock because no one cares. No one actually cares about that. But at least you have some of that opportunity if you are interested in SpaceX on SoFi. 373 on Tesla. As I keep talking about random things, Tesla keeps going higher. So maybe we just keep talking about other stuff and we just watch Tesla go higher every second. 373. We were just at 370, folks, like 10 minutes ago. There you go. Now at 373. Am I sharing a bed? No, I'm not sharing a bed. I do have a single room. We do have to share a bathroom, though. It's like common bathrooms. I didn't expect that either, bro. I was like, what the heck? But it makes sense, right? New York's expensive. Like the fact that I got this for 350, I should have expected it to not be the Carlton Ritz or something, right? Is that what it's called? I don't even know what it's called. Is it the Carlton? The Ritz Hotel? Whatever that thing is called. Like the really fancy hotel? Yeah, it's not that. But, we're safe. We're 350 is not breaking the bank, even though that is fucking expensive, bro. And we're here. Bitcoin 103.5. Bitcoin trying to make its way back to 104. Oh, it's Ritz-Carlton? Okay, my bad. Carlton Ritz. I know all of you guys thought of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air when I said Carlton Ritz. That's what all of you guys, that's what I thought about. I was like, Carlton, I haven't seen that show in a while. Imagine Williams Simona was a hotel. That'd be wild, bro. During COVID, I got a hotel room with a kitchen and everything for like $200 a night. Yeah, New York's expensive, bro. The amount of money in New York, bro. You just walk down New York City, you can just smell the money, bro. There's so much. Oh, I got to visit the NASDAQ at the Robinhood event yesterday. That was special, bro. Being at the NASDAQ was cool. Like you could see CNBC, you could see all these like big companies like doing stuff, having events. Like that was really cool. That was really cool being near the NASDAQ. But there's just so much wealth in this city, bro. So much money. And it's a different type of money than SF. I've been to SF, LA. You don't really smell money. You kind of just smell cocaine, to be honest. Like that's just like it's Hollywood and all this shit. But in New York, you smell money. You smell hunger. You smell grit. You smell the grind. You smell people wanting to chase after their dreams. And that's why New York over California to me is always going to be the best thing ever. Nonetheless, it is a little unsafe given the stuff we saw yesterday, which was kind of scary. So that's one of the downsides of New York. But New York is one of the best cities, at least in my opinion, in the world. Marathon right here, 27 up 4.4%. Bitcoin 103. Where's Tesla? Did my random talking take Tesla up higher? Are we at 374? Are we there? Dude, we're kind of close to 374, bro. Oh my gosh. 374. Here we go. 370. Well, we're not at 374 yet, but 373.55. Nubank's moving up. Yeah, that downgrade on Nubank was stupid in my opinion. I was talking to Tanner about it yesterday. Tanner's a big Nubank bull. He also thought it was kind of dumb. But it ran a lot. Again, a lot of these stocks ran a lot. It was at 16, now it's at 11. It went from 7 to 16. Like, people are going to take profits here, and that's when you have some opportunities to potentially build some positions. What else? Kramer just said Tesla will be 500 in the near future. Dude, I don't think Kramer can affect Tesla anymore. At this point, like, the amount of headlines that have been bad on Tesla since Trump got elected, I think there's at least been 5 of them. Nothing matters, bro. Nothing matters. When I start my Tesla position next year, I probably will be DCAing at $400. Like, that's, and I'm kind of, it is what it is. You have to deal with the opportunity costs of different positions. And I kind of don't care. I think this thing is just getting started, bro. At 1 trillion, I think it's just getting started. Is it kind of overvalued for the car business? Sure. But you're not investing for the car business. You're investing for FSD. Oh, and you're investing for Optimus. I tried FSD, by the way. I tried FSD for the first time. I tried FSD. I was with Roy, and we tried FSD together when I took him out to dinner, and we let the car drive me to dinner. It was an amazing experience. The only problem, and I'm sure some of you guys will relate with this, is lane switching was still not the best. And so that needs to get better. But could I see myself paying $8,000 for it? Yeah, dude, I could. I really could. The level of freedom I had just sitting there, letting it kind of do its thing. And like, it was a little bit of fear. Yeah, but I think I'll get over that over time. I'm probably not going to pay the $8,000. I'm probably going to get like subscription here and there and kind of try it out month for month and see if I can get comfortable with it. But it was special. It was very special. And again, when you experience it, you kind of ask yourself, why do people ever need to drive again? And that's a very powerful idea. Why do people ever need to drive again? That's a very powerful idea. Meta right here going red, 613, MicroStrategy 427, Palantir 70.95, Robinhood back above 40 at $40.15. You can't judge it in New York. That's correct. I judged it in New Jersey. But it was, New Jersey's not New York. There's not as many people. And driving around the suburbs that I'm at, it was pretty amazing. It was pretty amazing. Alex Chinchilla, there you go. You're in the chat, baby. What's up, Alex? Remember me from yesterday? I do, Alex. At the beginning of the stream, I mentioned you. I talked about how you stopped me on the street. Thank you for being here, brother. That was cool. That was really cool. Thank you for listening every day. Thank you for keeping up with the show, bro. I appreciate it. And happy I can serve as some entertainment and some information in the background as you're working every single day in this city. That was cool, dude. That was really good. For those that don't know him, Alex stopped me on the street yesterday, and he made me look really cool to Tanner and Roy. Dude, next time, Alex, if you see me and I'm with a girl, you got to do that again, bro. If any of you guys see me and I'm walking down the street with a girl, which I know all of you guys are like, that'll never happen. Whatever. If you see that happening, you got to stop me. Like, Amit, is that you? Because, she got to remember, like, she's with Amit. You know what I'm saying? Look, it's already going to his head. But no, anyway, that was a cool moment. That was awesome. And I just can't wait to do the meetups with all you guys, dude. 2025 is going to be fun. It's going to be really, really fun getting to meet you guys. Dude, I met a guy who freaking Suki, if you're in the chat, he had a big company. He sold the company, made a ton of money off the company, put a bunch of it into Robinhood. And now he just lives his life investing all day, keeps me in the background. And one thing he said to me that was really important, he said he has been watching CNBC in the background for like 10 years. And he really hates the ads, which I do as well, right? Like, it's kind of annoying, right? When they do a 6-minute segment and they go to an ad break and then the ad is like, hey, if you have heart disease, it's like, bro, like, I don't want to hear this. He's switched to me. And he's like, I just turned you on now. And that was a big a deal for him to change that condition, because he was like conditioned to listen to CNBC every morning. And now he kind of listens to me. So that's special. When someone says that, that's really special. The fact that your content can get them to actually change their behaviors. And there's no ads on this show. And I don't think we're ever going to have ads. I just like, being able to talk in the morning and give you guys value. So that was cool. It was really, really cool meeting you guys and talking in person and seeing how you guys consume the show. Nvidia right here at 145, PayPal at 88, Amazon at 218, Reddit at 152, Tesla at 372. Let me check the 375 resistance on Tesla. Let me check the 375 resistance on Tessie. Oh, I had a situation happen yesterday with my options. So here's what happened. I want to show you guys. This is the first time it happened. So I have Robinhood spreads, right? I have you buy a call, you sell a call on top of each other. That creates a debit spread. Yesterday night at like 12 a.m., I was actually on the phone with Chris and Steve when this happened. Someone exercised a $25 call, and I had sold a $25 call. So that means I had to come up with 100 shares for that person. And they took 100 shares out of my actual shares of Robinhood, and they gave it to that person. I got $25 in credit. And so the $22 call that I sold, that I bought against the $25 call this morning, I had the ability to exercise it, and I got to buy 100 shares of Robinhood at 22. So that was just a really cool thing. I've never been in that situation before where someone actually exercised the call. I had to give them the shares, but because obviously I had it covered, it wasn't a naked call. I had the leap that was up like 700%. That wasn't hit by the sold call. And then I just exercised it this morning. I could have sold it and made like $1,800. I paid like $200 for it, or I could have bought more shares at 22 and I exercised it and I got 22. I got 100 more shares at 22. And the reason I exercised it versus took profits on the leaps is because I saw that vision yesterday from Vlad, and I want to be in this company for a very long time. So 100 more shares today at 22. This is the first time I ever exercised the call. It was a pretty smooth process on Robinhood. It wasn't that complicated. Okay, 375 resistance on a Tesla. 375 resistance on Tesla is 90,000. No, how much is it? 95,000. Yeah, 95,000. No, not 90,380. 90,380. That's not crazy. 90,380. We already hit 373. We didn't get 374 yet, but 90,000 shares at 375 is not like, oh, we did hit 374. We hit 374.36. Oh no, we already hit it. Okay, cool. So it's not like a million shares. It's not like 180,000 shares. It like 90,000 shares is a decent amount, but it's not crazy. And the buy side pressure, if that's there, I think we could overcome that and we can get to 375. I think we can get to 375. Let's see if that can end up happening. You guys are saying sell the leap, then buy the shares, never exercise. Sell the shares. Okay, but hold on. Okay, so this is a teaching segment, right? And this is why we do the show. So sell the shares and sell the leap and buy the stock. So if I sold the leap, I would have had what, $1,800, and then I would have been buying the stock. What's the difference between that and exercising it at 22? And then just making the difference between whatever it is, 41 and 22. I actually don't know. Chris, you didn't tell me about this on the phone last night, Brody. This is your fault. This is your fault, Chris. You didn't explain the situation with me. The reason I exercised is because I was like, all right, I get 100 shares at 22 and we keep the difference and you just keep the shares long term. That was at least that was my logic. But again, could have been wrong about that. Time value. Okay, Chris, I'm going to call you. Chris, pick up the phone because I think this is a great teaching segment for myself and the audience. So Chris, pick up the phone. I'm going to call you right now. I want to see what you have to say about this. Chris is going to sound like a disappointed father, bro. He's going to sound like a disappointed dad.
I'm unable to answer the phone right now.
Chris, pick up the phone, bro. You're in the chat. Explain this stuff to us. You lost the time value. Meaning basically you guys are saying wait. Oh, I think I see what you're saying. You're saying it's so in the money, you wait until expiration, which is January, right? If you exercise instead of selling, you can avoid the tax event. If you sell and open a new position, either options or shares, these are two events that will be taxed. Okay, so Sachin, what would you do in that situation? I think this is actually a good teaching segment because this is the first time I've ever had to exercise a call. And so that's kind of how I was thinking about it. Chris, good morning. How are you?
I'm sad for you, man. I'm sad.
This is your fault, bro.
It's only one contract, but still.
Okay, so explain why exercising was not the right idea.
Okay, so sometimes exercising makes sense. Okay, like let's say you have an options contract and the stock announces a $2 dividend, right? And the thing is, you want to capture that $2 dividend because it's going to be worth more if you had held on to that share versus the difference in price. So in some occasions, it makes absolute sense to exercise early, especially that's something like 60 days out. The problem is there is no fucking dividend for Robinhood. So you gave up 60 days worth of time, basically. So you had a premium that you basically relinquished. Anytime you exercise, you're basically giving up the time value of that contract.
But the math, I'm trying to make sense of the math. I exercised at 22, right? So Robinhood's 40. Correct. So I'm making $18 a share, $1,800. If I had waited Correct. Until I don't know, mid before expiration, January, what is the difference in terms of monetary implications?
Because what would happen is your broker would auto exercise the option and you would automatically get those shares at that price. That's what happened.
But that's what happened today.
And if you don't have cash in your brokerage, they would have automatically sold them at the market price at that time and you would have pocketed the difference.
No, but I'm saying if I want the shares, if I want Robinhood at 22 and I exercised it, why is waiting until January when it expires better? That's the question.
I just said you're giving a premium. If anything, you should have just sold the leap and bought the stock.
But then I'm buying the stock at 40. Like that's what I'm trying to understand.
Your cost basis is higher too. Your cost basis is now 40. So if you sell in the future, you're not gonna have a huge cost basis. Right now, you lowered your cost basis to $22.
Okay.
So now if you sell it, your cost basis is $22.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Ultimately, it's about
next time. Ultimately, just sell the damn thing, bro. Sell it. That's it. Just if you don't want it, sell it.
But wait, why was there more premium? It's because of the time value. There's another month left. Of
yes,
the
there's time value in options. Yes, there's time value.
Well, so I know extrinsic value is time value. The problem is I didn't know what it meant in the context of exercise because I never exercised the call before. I never fucking.
Okay, so Josh is saying there was no premium. So you're telling me there's 60 days out and there's no premium left? That's max premium right there that you have, man.
All right. Well, that was the first time.
So right there, when you are that far in the money, there is no extrinsic value. They are wrong, dude. There's like still extrinsic value. There may not be a lot, but there's still extrinsic value. 60 days, bro. 60 days.
Yeah, it was so funny. The chats, some people are on Josh's side, some people are on your side. We got to get you both on the show one day and argue it out. This is good. I
mean, dude, you can look at your Robinhood, like what do they call the probability thing, the profit.
The delta.
If you have 60 days, there's premium. Okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, if Robinhood went to like $60, the premium would go even high. Like the contract would be more valuable as well.
Yes, the contract would be more valuable, but that's because the value of the stock has gone up. Right now, you're looking at time value. Time value decays as you get closer and closer. Even if you're all the way in the money, because I think that's what Josh is saying. Well, if you're right, if you're in the money, that means that there's no extrinsic value. No, time value. There's always time value. If you're 60 days away. Okay, imagine this right now. If there was no quote-unquote premium, why wouldn't people just go out there and buy deep in the money things at 60 days? And basically what? You don't get any sort of risk whatsoever? You think you got just a risk-free option? No. You're going to get some value there. There's premium. There's 60 days worth of premium.
All right. Well, we're going to have a long conversation about this because I still need to understand and digest this. But I get your point. It's a debate around how much premium is there. You're arguing the time value premium is still there because there's more time. Here's an example. By the way, Palantir 7140, guys. Go ahead.
Okay, here's a question. Okay, let's look it up. What is the current stock price right now? And then what is the current stock price right now? And then look at the option that's there for the $22 call. Okay, just do that. What is the value of the January 2025 call option?
Okay, let me
for that strike, for that $22 strike.
So $22 call. You're saying how much does it cost right now?
Yeah.
The $22 call on January 17th costs $19.15.
Right. So $19.50 above $22 is what?
Like $3 basically.
$19, right? Okay. Just do it one more time. If the exercise price is $22, right?
Yeah.
And the options contract.
Oh, 39. Sorry, 39. My bad. I was reading right. Yeah, 39.
Right? Right, 39. So what does that end up? For 39, hold on a second, dude. What is the stock? What did you say again? What is the option?
This is why I'm not good at math. 19. It's fucking, what's 19 plus 22? It's fucking 41.
Yeah, that's right. It's $41.15 right now. $19.15. So 19. And what is the stock price of Robinhood right now?
$40.60.
So there you go. That's the time premium that you lost out on.
But does that dollar matter?
Hey, listen, if you're trying to be tax efficient and you have 500 contracts, yes, it matters.
But I'm just saying it's $1. Just like, is that a reason for you to be disappointed at me as a father? Like, it's like.
I'm not a bum. I'm
It's
just
a
saying,
dollar, bro. It's like my mom getting mad when I got a 94, bro. What the fuck? What's going on, bro?
The reason why I'm saying this is because you have a lot of contracts, okay? A lot of contracts, which means that, let's say right now you said, you know what, let me decide to basically just exercise everything. You would lose all of that extrinsic value. You're lucky that this was just one contract, so maybe you're down $100, whatever, right? But if you had, let's say, 1,000 contracts and you did this at the same time, now you're going to be losing 1,000 times 100, so $100,000.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. No one, if you have $25 calls, don't fucking exercise them. Leave my spreads alone, please. Leave them alone.
I mean, you don't get a choice. There's going to be people that do
know.
shit on the background for whatever reason. Like some people, I don't even know why that guy would exercise.
Dude, it was like
But
12
hey,
a.m. at night. Some random dude in like Hong Kong or something was awake and he just took away my shares. I was like, what the fuck is going on, bro? What's going on, Brody?
Yeah, I mean, they could have been on a margin call or something. I don't know what the deal is, why they would exercise early, but they basically exercised early and lost their extrinsic value. And then you, by doing this, you lost your extrinsic value.
Okay, so Chris, I got to get out of here in a bit. So while you're on the phone, I just quick thoughts on Bitcoin 100K. What is your reaction?
Say that again?
Bitcoin 100K, what's your reaction?
It's good. I'm all for it. I got Mara, so I'm okay. You know.
Any thoughts of like this is momentum that you see is building even further, or just like it's here, it's time?
I think people are going to eventually have to realize the game that's being played in the background and be ready to like move around it when things collapse. Because I mean, I have a diagram that I can like show, but I'll probably do it on like the Hidden Edge podcast. If you really got to go, I can actually show you what I'm talking about. But like I said, if you maybe we'll do this at another time.
Yeah, we'll do another
the
time.
game
Don't
that's
worry.
being played, yeah, it's a convertible ARB play right now. That's what's happening.
So Marathon still bullish on that.
Yeah. For now, I'm bullish, man. As long as that convertible debt offerings keeps coming, it's all good because all that's doing is creating a larger floor value. So the floor value of the stock is going higher and higher because what ends up happening is the net asset value is getting boosted up, right? So right now, if the stock is trading at a huge premium, let's say 3 times NAV, and they issue convertible shares, you're basically getting that money and you're able to buy Bitcoin at today's prices, but literally it's like an interest-free loan. So what it does is it creates this weird thing where you're getting more and more Bitcoin. The problems will like seep up and like really like wreck things when new convertible bondholders aren't there. Because then what happens is you're going to start trading closer to NAV. And if you start trading closer to NAV, the stock price right now, which is 2.3 times NAV, it's going to come down to 1, or maybe even less than 1, but probably closer to 1. In which case, that means the stock price is going to go down. So
yeah. All right. Yeah. Sounds good. Thanks for the teaching segment. This is why we do the show, to learn in real time. So appreciate it, brother. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Take care.
Take care. Bye. All right. Well, that was good. You got some people agreeing with Josh in the chat, some people agreeing with Chris. Nonetheless, about $1 of extrinsic value. Well, at this point, it's not $1 of extrinsic value. It's like, where's Robinhood? See, I don't know at what price they got exercised. I think Robinhood it was early in the morning. It was 9:30 because I queued it up. So maybe Robinhood was like above 41 when it exercised, and maybe there was no extrinsic value because Robinhood was already at that price of $19 above 22. But even if there was a little extrinsic value, probably would have made sense to wait a little bit to do that. Robinhood right here, $40.62, up 1.65% on the day. SoFi right back to normal, folks. So again, that sell-off yesterday, not a big deal. SoFi at 16.14. Yeah, TJ's the deciding vote. We'll ask TJ tomorrow. He'll be on the show tomorrow. We'll be like, TJ, what would you have done in this instance? Oh, we just got a Vlad quote. I don't know what it is. I got the notification on Twitter. I'm about to check it right now with you guys. I didn't even see what the quote is, but I see on Twitter it says Vlad quote tweeted you. Here we go. We're going to see what it is right now. All right, there we go. I love it. This was one of the quotes. I didn't show you guys this. Yes. So yesterday he said, this is what Vlad said. People have stopped trusting traditional financial institutions and are moving to trusting their peers, independent sources of news, and themselves to self-direct their investing. We at Robinhood have had a front seat to witness this transformation. And he's right? The whole world is kind of, or not the whole world, but a lot of people in the world are starting to not trust the traditional finance media sources. They're trusting their peers and their networks. And, you get group chats together with people to try to crowdsource information. Vlad said, and we're ready. There you go. There you go. Yeah, he's doing a bunch of stuff right now. Thanks to NASDAQ for having us on Robinhood's first Investor Day. And we're ready. That's incredible. One of the many highlights from yesterday. Yeah, this was also really cool. This was a cool thing from Fast Company. New York Stock Exchange is extending its trading hours to meet the growing demand in the Robinhood era. That was a headline. Again, Robinhood kind of innovating and the rest of these guys following them. All right, here we go. What do we got right now? Are we at 72 on Palantir? Are we doing it? Oh boy, are we there? Oh my, 71.90. We did hit 72. We did hit 72, baby. There we go. I don't have my bell, but you know what? That is not an excuse because still the cowbell must be rung. You know the word? For 72. There we go, baby. 72, new all-time high for Palantir. All right, there we go. I wish I had the cowbell and it could be more dramatic. But granted, we did see 72 in the pre-markets a couple of days ago. It was yesterday. You remember Steve yesterday on the market close? He was like, we're going to close at 72.27. And in the morning yesterday, he was like, see, I told you we're at 72. We were kind of at like 72, I think 24 or something. And then we dipped yesterday down to like $69 or whatever, if you call that a dip. And we're right back at 71.88, probably going back to 72 if we just broke through the $72 wall. The momentum and strength in Palantir is just, I don't even know what to describe it. I don't even know how to describe it, but it's happening. And yeah, as Woody said right here, maybe we're going to normalize 72. Arnie said, what is this? I'm sorry, we don't have the real bell. That's the best we had for today. We hit 72 yesterday. I think it was in the pre-markets though, right? Did we actually hit 72 yesterday? Hold on. 72.19. Yeah, that was pre-markets. That was at 6 a.m. Yesterday, we did not actually hit 72. We opened yesterday at like 71, and then we fell all the way to 67. Oh, wow. We went to 67 at one point. I didn't see that. And now we're right back here at 71.65. Look, QQQ rebalance is important. And if Palantir gets in, that's going to be very, very exciting for the institutions at the end of the day. It was pre-market. Yeah, it was a pre-market. I will not be home for the market close today, guys. So today is going to be a big day. Yesterday was a big day. Today's going to be another big day. You guys will find out why. That's why I'm still here in the city. All I can say is just Twitter is in the description. Keep up with Twitter because you kind of have to be on Twitter to get access to all the information of what's happening. But it's going to be cool. Today's going to be a cool day, guys. Today's going to be a really cool day. Like, I don't want to hype it up too much. Partly also because I barely have any energy because I slept like 2 hours last night. But I have the adrenaline, and today's going to be important. Tom Lee's on CNBC? Okay. If Tom Lee's on CNBC, then we go to Tom Lee. I don't care who's talking. I don't care in the future if my wife is like, babe, Tom Lee, this man accurately predicted Bitcoin years ago. We listened to it. By the way, Tom Lee said a couple days ago that Bitcoin's going well over 100,000. We're kind of there. We're kind of there. So let's pull him up. Here we go. Here is Mr. Tom Lee on Bitcoin.
Of the record rally in stocks, Fundstrat Global Advisors Head of Research Tom Lee joins us on set today. Hi, Tom.
Hello.
So based on what Taneo was describing with regard to Bitcoin, what do you think that this most recent rally says about the overall risk appetite in the market right now?
Well, it's really telling us investors are pro-risk. I do think it also just signals how much capital has been idle for the last couple of years, either parked in money market cash or waiting to see if the economy survived. So I think Bitcoin rising is to me, breaking out of a holding pattern is a precursor to what the S&P is going to do the rest of the year.
Speaking of the moves in the broader markets, you say the road to 6,300 is paved with bumps. What do you expect investors to see ahead that may slow them down? What are some of the key markers that you're looking for?
Well, I think there's a lot of macro to digest the next 3 weeks. You know, tomorrow is the jobs report, and I think investors are fearful that it's going to be too strong because of the hurricane and seasonal adjustment, so it's going to be a big number. Next week is CPI, which has been running a little hot, and Fed Chair Powell spoke about that earlier this week. And then, of course, on the 18th is the FOMC rate decision. So I think once we're through these events, investors can actually then invest into sort of that Christmas Santa Claus rally. So I think 6,300 is still very doable.
So you're basically saying don't go away after the 18th because there may be some additional upside toward the end of the year?
Yes, or buy the dips. Yeah.
So, I mean, you suggest there that we're in a bad, good news is bad news for stocks environment. I mean, why should the market be concerned if the Fed is going to be less aggressive in terms of cutting rates?
I think there's a conceptual change that the market has to get used to, which is, let's say earlier this year when the Fed started cutting, people thought, oh, 5 cuts is good for stocks in 2025. So if the number gets reduced, it's bearish. I think as we get into 2025, the market's going to shift to thinking the fewest cuts possible next year is the best case because it elongates the dovish cycle. So I think we have to flip the script, but it's going to take some time.
But hasn't that been the case all year? I mean, because in January of this year, the market was implying 6 or 7 cuts. We're only getting a few. We've slowed the pace. The 2-year yield is not that far below Fed funds anymore. So I guess my point is the market's already kind of registered that slower is better.
That's right. I think it's, I would just say it's not a consensus accepted view because, for instance, when Fed Chair Powell spoke about taking things a little slower, the market got weak and then maybe had a rethink. So I think it's going to take a while until markets realize 1 cut next year is actually quite bullish.
Are you surprised that equities haven't reacted to some of the political turmoil abroad, South Korea, France, elsewhere?
In some ways, I think the stock market had been already pricing this in because, as you know, this year has been a pretty significant divergence between U.S. versus Europe and U.S. versus emerging markets and even China's sort of failed rally. So I think in some ways the market's not surprised. Maybe it was even pricing in this through currencies and equity prices.
Tom, I'm going to go back a long ways to our long relationship. Do you still even track active managers and how much, they're trailing their bogeys at all and whether that's a factor in any way at the end of the year?
Yeah, in fact, we've been cleaning up that data because, as you know, in the last 10 years, there's been a big change in the number of managers. It's good. It's kind of a good and bad year because active managers that tactically went cyclical or more offensive or tech have been having banner years. I mean, we have so many clients that are beating their benchmark by 6, 7, 8. These are unheard of outperformance, but it's a small number because, as you know, when you look at the world more towards macro or market neutral, it's been very tough.
So what did these guys get? What did these people get right then this year that are significantly outperforming their bogeys, so to speak?
I think it's a psychology decision they made, which is the companies were telling me things are fine, even at the start of this year, macro people may have told you a recession's coming or the Fed's going to break something, but people saw their companies were doing fine, and the ones that bet on their companies have had great years.
Going back to Bitcoin, Tanea said there's this expectation that it could reach 200,000 in 2025. What's your base case?
Well, our official sort of contours for next year come out on December 11th. Which includes our views on Bitcoin. But I can sort of give you a broader observation.
Any little preview or could you
Sure. I mean, we're still in the middle of a halving cycle. So I don't think 100,000 is the ceiling. It's really, Bitcoin has proven it's now worth 10% of gold, which you mentioned. It's probably going to equate to have the same network value as gold. That's 950,000 or close to.
It's more like 1/6 of gold now, right? It's 2 trillion Bitcoin, 13 trillion.
Yeah, it depends if you include
other crypto.
Yeah, if you count
other crypto is even higher.
True, and if you count all above ground gold versus just industrial gold,
I want it all
gold.
in people's teeth. We got to count everything.
Yeah, and then that's how you get 20 trillion actually.
All right, Tom Lee. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Look, again, I mean, if you believe in that thesis that the gold market cap is similar to what Bitcoin could be, then Bitcoin does have a chance to go a lot higher. Folks, we got another upgrade on Robinhood from Piper Sandler, 42 to 54. They went from 36 to 42 yesterday. So they're going from 36 to 54 over the past 2 days. Analyst comments. Overall, we came away from the investor day with an increasingly bullish outlook for Robinhood shares. The combination of strong brand recognition, a relatively small market share, and a robust product roadmap positions Robinhood well for the future. We reiterate our overweight rating and raise our price targets at $54. Below, we recap the key takeaways from the investor day. Deutsche Bank had them at 42. Bernstein has them at 51. Morgan Stanley has them at 55. Piper Sandler upgrades 2 times in a row in the same week to 54. And then Dan Dolev from Mizuho upgrades to 60. Oh, you sent that? I just saw it on Twitter. I didn't even see your DM, bro. That just popped up on Twitter. By the way, do you guys know who Dan Dolev is? Put in the chat if you know who Dan Dolev is. I want to see how many people actually know him. He's a big fintech analyst guy. SoFi, he's been early hood, very, very early hood, but Affirm, all those companies. SoFi right here, 1603, Tesla 371. Robinhood getting a little hit right here, 39.90, going down a little bit. Where's MSTR? Archer, by the way, great day, up 14%. MSTR also getting hit. So why is MSTR getting hit? Even though Bitcoin's at 100,000, again, people might not want to pay the premium right now. That could be a reason. Also, it's being very manipulated. You got a bunch of options, all that stuff, right? Why is Robinhood down? Well, Robinhood has been up a lot and the business has been improving a lot and people are taking some profits. It's less about like the premium against Bitcoin. And again, this is why I've picked Robinhood this whole year. It's that if Robinhood goes down, it's because their numbers and their business isn't executing against the investor expectations. It's not because Bitcoin is going down and there's a premium you pay against Bitcoin with the net asset value. Like it's none of that shit. It's a real business with Bitcoin as a catalyst. With MicroStrategy, you just don't know, bro. Like I wouldn't have expected MicroStrategy to be at 415. Now, granted, it was at like 380 last night, so it still was a nice move. But you know, with Bitcoin at 100, you might think it would be more. You guys know Dan Dolev? You guys know him? No, yes. It's kind of 50-50. Okay, well, he'll be on the show next week. He was at the investor day yesterday, and we'll have him on the show. So Dan Dolev will be discussing all of fintech next week on the show. So we'll have him again. He's been early hood, early SoFi. He doesn't really like Coinbase, but he's been Affirm for really hood is what he's been calling for a while. We'll have him on the show. Palantir right here, still holding momentum, 71.75. The entire market is taking a little bit of a hit. S&P 500 down 0.02%. Not really down, but it is down. Qs are down a bit. By the way, Qs, tech, big tech, Max 7, all-time highs. I mean, if you just bet on big tech this year, you've done pretty damn well. So the Q's doing fine. Let's look at the Max 7 actually right here. Apple 243, Microsoft 437, Meta 612, Google 176, Amazon 218. Amazon breaking out after a lot of announcements this week around foundation models, AWS, etc. Nvidia 145, and then Tesla right here 372, kind of leading the way for big tech today. 1030 hit. Yeah, we're probably getting into that 1030 hit as well. Uncle in the chat right here saying, I will now wait for Robinhood's results in January and the markets give a knee-jerk reaction and then buy. I know we all want to go back to November result date. Well, you did buy at 35 with me. We saw it go back to 35 and we're like, you know what, we're buying here. But Robinhood will give their events, their answers in February or their earnings in February. So we will have to wait about probably 2 months to get those numbers. We will get November metrics soon though. And those metrics are going to be really important. Guys, I'm going to call real quick. Just give me 1 second. I got to take this.
Because it is the sort of political question that I think is in the mix right now, which is you have talked a lot about the importance of the independence of the Federal Reserve. This is a group of people that I know that you are highly committed to. And there are now genuine questions because the president-elect has been quite outspoken about it, just publicly, about the idea that maybe the Federal Reserve should come under more control and have the White House should have more influence over it. What do you think when you hear that?
Well, I think that what is the case for the Fed being independent?
Sorry, guys. Had to take that. That's it. It was good. We're good. No worries. We're no worries. Tell Vlad I said hi. I had to take that. So sorry. We're good. It was a work thing, I guess, is what you'll call it. It was a work thing. So there you go. The plumber from Grindr. We can read your lips. Okay, what was I saying then? That's not even a good question. You guys are going to come up with the wildest things that you thought I was saying. But that was one of those things where I just that has to be on mute. And if people left during that time, I'm sorry, but that had to be on mute. But we got to hear Powell a little bit talk. It really was a work thing, bro. So it wasn't family. Trust me, it wasn't family. It was this. Last night was great. Eduardo, bro, I hate you guys so much. Okay, anyway, I wanted to share a different clip other than Powell, but Powell's the only one I could find. Sam Altman, I want to talk a little bit about XAI and his what Sam Altman said with ChatGPT, because we got some pretty big updates from ChatGPT yesterday, and it's been pretty strong. 300 million weekly users, freaking 1 billion messages a day. Here's a stat for you guys. It took Google 20 years to get 8.5 billion search queries a day. It took OpenAI 2 years to get 1 billion search queries a day, which just shows the level of growth. Here's what Sam had to say about XAI as a competitor.
XAI as a competitor. We talk about Google, obviously, all the time. And we talk about Anthropic and to some degree Microsoft. And I don't know where you think Amazon is. We'll talk to Jeff Bezos this afternoon. But how do you see that?
They're a competitor.
Do you think of them as one of your biggest competitors? I mean, it appears that they are coming on super strong.
Yeah, I assume they'll be a really serious competitor.
Did you expect that?
Yes.
You did?
Yes.
And what are they doing? And what are they doing? And how have they been able to literally spin up a company that feels, I'm not claiming it's comparable to what you're doing, but getting super close, super fast? Meaning, what is that?
Well, a lot of the models at the frontier are all pretty close now, but certainly tremendous respect for how quickly they built that data center.
Is that, by the way, do you fear that all this becomes commoditized as a result? I mean, if it seems like, I'm not saying anybody can do it, but it just seems like, what is your advantage? And by the way, what is your disadvantage?
I think the technology itself, to the degree you believe deep learning is just sort of like a law of physics, and that we discovered an important new piece of science, then yes, that part will be done by lots of people. Everybody has their analogy for what AI is like. You know, I saw Sundar's going to be here. He talks about it like electricity, a whole bunch of others. People talk about like the Industrial Revolution. Some people talk about like the Renaissance. The one that I like is the transistor. There was a scientific discovery that a few companies discovered first, that transformed our society, that scaled unbelievably well. Like, you know, when people talk about scaling laws, the best analogy for that, I think, is Moore's Law. And that came to be used by a lot of companies in all of the world. Like, look at all the things in this room with transistors, but we don't think about that as a transistor device, and we don't think about Google as a transistor company, even though they wouldn't be here without one. And I kind of think that's what's going to happen with AI. There will be shockingly capable models widely available, used for everything. And it will be inconceivable to people in the future that the devices, the products and services they use are not really smart. And they won't all call themselves AI companies or AI products. And in that sense, in some sense, the AI itself, the kind of the reasoning engine nature of it will become commoditized. And that's fine, that's good. Like, science should be just diffused throughout society. And that's why we're focused on building things like ChatGPT.
So what is the vibe that you guys get from that? A lot of you guys are feeling a little weird on that. I don't think he really answered the question in terms of like, well, he answered the question, but I think he's not being as intellectually honest as people want to know about how Elon even got to start a competitor, because the only reason Tesla 372, the only reason Elon's starting a competitor is because he felt that Sam Altman kind of stole OpenAI and turned it into this thing that it was never supposed to be. I don't know. The only thing I do know is that, look, OpenAI has the advantage right now, but I don't know if you guys saw yesterday, Elon's trying to buy a million, either H100s or I'm forgetting what generation chip it is, but XAI has 200,000 chips in their supercluster. Yeah, look at this right here. They want to buy another 800,000 and get a million, which means obviously they're ready to go toe-to-toe with OpenAI. Musk's XAI plans massive expansion of AI supercomputer in Memphis. So this would have 1 million graphic processing units or GPUs. We don't know which ones they would be, but even if they're H100s, a million of them, you could do a lot of training on that. Oh, H200s? Okay, H200s, that's what he wants. So if that's the case, look, OpenAI's advantage, which is that they are the better commodity over the other commodities in terms of models, maybe that doesn't last forever, right? And if that ultimately doesn't last forever and people actually like using XAI and they engage with XAI and then you have Grok. By the way, XAI, when we think of in terms of value creation, so OpenAI has the subscription model, API calls, that's their business. And maybe they'll expand in the future, but maybe with advertising. XAI is going to be the brains behind Optimus. It's going to be the brains behind Grok on Twitter. Elon has talked about being the brains around FSD in some combination as well. Neuralink, there might be some, like, I don't see how anyone could be more bullish on OpenAI over XAI outside of the fact that OpenAI's ChatGPT is just a better, like, experience with the model. But again, I've been using Grok more as well. I feel like the model genuinely is commoditized. And that if Grok is just as good, why do I need to pay $20 a month to ChatGPT? Like, and if that's the case, I kind of think XAI is going to have some fun. Tesla 375, we did hit 375. When did that happen? Maybe that was during the video. We're now at 374. No, we hit it like a minute ago, 375.40. Okay, so we got over. So guys, I think we're going over 375. We got over the 90,000 share wall at 375. So it just sold off right there, got rejected right there. But if we have some more buy side pressure, I think 375 happens. Happened 30 seconds ago. Yeah, it happened during the video. Boom, baby, 375. All right, so speaking of Elon, here is what Mr. Bezos yesterday had to say about Elon trying to build Doge.
I think it could be true. I think he probably is trying to, I think this Department of Government Efficiency and that he and Vivek are helping Trump with and so on. Again, I've had a lot of success in life not being cynical. And I've very rarely been taken advantage of as a result. It's happened a couple of times, but not very often. And I think that cynicism, why be cynical about that? Let's go into it hoping that the statements that have been made are correct, that this is going to be done, above board in the public interest. And if that turns out to be naive, well, then we'll see. But I actually think it's going to be great. I'm hoping.
I like that mentality. And again, Jeff is an entrepreneur. He tries, and if it fails, it fails, but he goes in with the idea that it can work. And so I like that he was optimistic around OpenAI in the context of not OpenAI, Doge, in the context of, hey, let's just see what happens. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But that's important. Another update on AI. We're speaking of XAI, LLMs, training models. Yeah, MSTR is about to go red, which is wild because Bitcoin's above 100,000. Here's what Google, Sundar Pichai, had to say around AI training.
The current generation of LLM models are roughly, few companies have converged at the top. But I think we're all working on our next versions too. I think the progress is going to get harder. When I look at 25, the low-hanging fruit is gone. The curve, the hill is steeper. I think the elite teams will stand out in 25. So I think it's an exciting year from that perspective.
Do you think it's slowing down though? So that's interesting because I will tell you that your competitor / peer in Sam Altman said there is no wall. There is no wall. You think it's...
And the idea of wall, for those that don't know what he's referring to, is the wall of data that needs to be used to train to make GPT 5, 6, 7, 8. Sam Altman says the media keeps saying that there is a wall, but from what we're seeing at OpenAI, there is no wall. We're going to keep getting to AGI.
It's maybe slowing down in terms of how quickly it scales.
I'm very confident there'll be a lot of progress in 25.
Okay.
Right? I think the models are definitely going to get better at reasoning, completing a sequence of actions more reliably, more agentic, if you will. I think so. You will see us push the boundaries. So I expect a lot of progress in 25. So I don't fully subscribe to the wall notion. But you know, when you start out quickly scaling up, you can throw more compute and you can make a lot of progress. But you're definitely going to need deeper breakthroughs as we go to the next stage. So you can perceive it as there's a wall, or you perceive it as you know, there's some small barriers.
I don't really know what Sundar said right there, to be honest. I listened to the clip. I kind of don't know exactly. I know he's kind of bullish for 2025. He's not really making me super optimistic about Google. Do you guys get the same kind of feeling? Like, again, I think Google's undervalued, but listening, I don't really feel like, you know, Sundar is making people super excited. Regardless, I do think there's a lot of training left into 2025. And it's going to be up to Google, Microsoft, Amazon to actually build the models that are necessary to get the momentum that people are looking for. And if we can't get that momentum, that's when a lot of the market's going to be like, well, why are we paying so much for AI? Why are we paying so much for growth? But if we do, then I think this party continues to go on and it goes further and further. What is happening with SoundHound? You know what it looks like? It looks like a short squeeze, bro. Let me check the short float right now on SoundHound. It's got to be above 20%, right? It looks like a squeeze. They had a good headline today, and then they had a bunch of buyers come in, and then the shorts might just be covering. Yeah, dude, SoundHound short is 26% float. So you got basically 30% of the company shorted. A good headline today. Now, you guys are telling me the headline is audio AI inside of a taco restaurant. I don't know if that's the biggest headline in the world, but it is a good headline, I guess, and that's enough to cause a little bit of a squeeze, potentially. So you got 21% right here. MicroStrategy, I know this has got to be pissing a lot of people off right here. And this right here could be the story of 2025. That MicroStrategy is not really moving, but Bitcoin is well above 100,000. Now, again, even with MicroStrategy at 400, I think its net asset value of Bitcoin is, oh, wow, it just went red. I think it is 35 billion, if I'm not wrong, plus or minus 5 billion. Stock's trading at 80 billion. So you're trading basically at 2x, a little bit above 2x. Is that worth it, right? Is that worth it? I don't know. I don't know if that's worth it. So, I mean, and like, again, the street's going to have to figure it out. The street's going to have to figure it out. 38 billion. All right. So basically a 2x. Is that worth the premium that you're paying? Marathon right here getting hit as well. Marathon moving MicroStrategy. Again, I'm bullish on the Bitcoin treasury strategy. I think it makes way more sense than being a Bitcoin miner. But it's one of those things where the market's going to have to figure out how much of a premium do they give you? Because it's not like Robinhood where it's like, oh, you know, it's growing 40%. So a reasonable PEG ratio is 1.5. A reasonable earnings multiple is, you know, 80 times earnings as they can increase EPS by 20% year over year. Like you can do those, you can do the math. And sometimes the numbers don't fully make sense, but it somewhat makes sense. With MicroStrategy, it's legit just like, well, do we give it a 5x premium, a 10x premium, a 3x premium, a 0 premium, 2x premium? What's the premium? And I guess you could do some math on it with the convertible note to try to come to a conclusion, but it's still not as definitive as like a regular operating company. Doug says right here, MicroStrategy heavily front ran this 100K pop. It has to relax and let Bitcoin catch up. I mean, that's also fair. We did go from 250 to 550 2 weeks ago. That's when like a lot of people got in. That probably, I mean, that's when Bitcoin was like, what, 99, 98,000. So I guess that kind of was your run to 100. And now that we're at 100, you know, the market is like, all right, that's cool, but it's kind of what we priced in. Can we talk about Roblox, why it's going through the roof? Roblox has actually been executing pretty well on their earnings. It's up 7%. I don't know what the headline is today. By the way, you know what else is up? ARK. ARK is back, bro. What is ARK year to date now? ARK year to date, it's up 20%, bro. This kind of happened literally in the last like 3 weeks. Roblox, ARK does own a ton of Roblox. Let me see if there's any specific news on RBLX. I'm assuming there has to be for 7%. By the way, Carp's going to be on Fox News today. Carp's going to be on Fox News today with Liz, the Fox Business thing. So that'll happen at like 3 p.m. or something. So he'll be on TV today. Oh, they got upgraded? Yeah, I think Roblox got upgraded. It's a mix between technicals and an upgrade, I think. Yeah, that's why Roblox is getting some love. Roblox is owned by a bunch of institutions. Yes, they are owned by a bunch of institutions. Amit, look up gamma arbitrage. That's what's happening right now. Yeah, that's the big video that Chris sent us where the hedge funds are like shorting and going long at the same time. And there's a massive arbitrage happening right there. It's like a 40-minute video where the guy explained it. I would imagine that's what's happening. But I also think Doug's right. It was front run, dude. Like when Bitcoin was trying to touch 100,000, MicroStrategy went. I mean, let's just look at MSTR's chart, bro. Like this thing is, look at this 1 month. It was at 326 on November 13th. Forget that. It was on November 5th. It was at 220. By November 21st, 19 days later, it's at 548. That to me, what you're looking at right there, that is the 100K run. And then the fall off right here is when Bitcoin almost went back to 89K. And now you're kind of coming back, but you're at 100K. And so the market's like, all right, we had your run. And if you bought at 540, you're just going to have to wait for Bitcoin to go even higher. Here's the CARP thing. He's not live yet, but I just saw Iliano's tweet about it. Yeah, here you go. This is it. So 3:30, I think, p.m., 3 p.m. I don't know exactly what time, but yeah, 3 p.m., 3 p.m. There you go. We'll have CARP. His first interview after since after earnings, right? Since earnings. Because before earnings, he had the CNBC where he had that rant about the librarian and all that stuff. Then they had earnings. So it's been about a month. So his first interview since then. I'm frustrated with Hood dumping on great news with Palantir pumping into a bubble. Okay, so I think this is really important for the people in the chat that are upset about the stock price movement. Robinhood is up 200-something% year to date. Stocks don't just literally keep going up. Now, I know Palantir's kind of defying reality right here, but even Palantir took a little bit of a breather yesterday, right? And I know people hate the valuation on Palantir because, yeah, it's up there. I agree it's up there, but it's kind of like Rocket Lab. I went on this rant yesterday. Like Rocket Lab, people are complaining that Rocket Lab's at 23. It was at $28 yesterday. It was at $4 in January. We have to have a little bit of context here and not get greedy. And it's very important, I feel like, there is no stress in my mind that Robinhood's down off 3 upgrades this morning in one of the best investor days in November metrics ever. Why? A, because I think that's a buying opportunity. B, because that's probably hedge funds just trying to keep it lower so they can buy more shares. C, because it's already up a lot. It's like these are not things that just go up forever and you just keep like getting more juice out of them. These are businesses and stocks that are in very complex environments with very complex algorithms, different people buying, selling. You might have insiders maybe selling. You might have hedge funds taking some profits right here. Like a bunch of things are happening. All you can hope for is to have a little bit of a long-term horizon if you're not on a weekly call option. And if you think it's undervalued at 39 based on what you've heard over the past couple of days, then you DCA. If not, then you just chill out. But it is what it is. Same thing with Rocket Lab. I don't think anyone who bought Rocket Lab at $8 is upset that it went from 28 to 23. Even Matt Money on Twitter yesterday, he posted he was down 70 grand. And he wants to be down more than 70 grand because he wants to buy more Rocket Lab shares. And I think that's a great mentality to have. Yeah, I don't know. I think he has like 30,000 shares. He wants to have more shares and he would like to get more shares at $20 versus $29, right? So long-term, if you're bullish and there's not a thesis breaker, which there's no thesis breaker from what I'm seeing on any of these stocks, Robinhood, Palantir, or Rocket Lab, it's just streets selling them off and people are taking some profits, then that is not something to get too upset about. MA, thank you for the $14 super chat. Just want to say thanks for all you do. I watch your show with my daughter every morning on the way to dropping her to school, grade 4. You're a hard worker and super bright. Thanks, Amit from ASIM. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for being on the show every day and for watching with your daughter. That always reminds me to make sure the jokes are, it's a family show. They're not the only person. There's been a lot of people that have been saying that they watch with their kids or their kids are in the background. So it's something I've got to be more cognizant of, but appreciate you, man. And, it's cool because maybe your little girl is going to start getting more into the markets. And a couple of people have reached out. They're saying they're like 9-year-old kids are now like looking into like what it means to invest. And that's the way to create generational wealth, right? The kids got to be able to do it at a young age and then just compound over time. Amit has to make the stream PG now. Yes, exactly. Hood seems more reasonable at 70 than Palantir. Well, look, again, Robinhood A has half the shares outstanding. So if Robinhood was 70, it would be like a $65 billion market cap. Again, I think that would be kind of expensive for Robinhood. Expensive. Well, look, they're growing a lot, right? And I think they're going to grow more than 40% next quarter. So I could justify if Robinhood was $65 billion market cap. Numerically, I could justify it. It's hard to numerically justify Palantir at 162 billion. Like I'm going to just sound stupid if I try to do it. Like there's not really a way to do it, but you can justify it qualitatively. Now, the thing is Robinhood has 1 billion less shares than Palantir. So that's one thing to remember. And number two, is Robinhood just a different business than Palantir? Robinhood has growth prospects, but Palantir people are thinking can become a multi-trillion-dollar company. I don't know if people are thinking that for Robinhood. I think they think Robinhood can get to 100 billion, maybe 200 billion, but people are thinking Palantir can get to $1 trillion, and that's the difference of narrative that is within the stock right now. And that's important to look at as well. Crazy man with a cowbell, yes. My daughter's 3 years old and has 20,000 in the market. That's also absolutely incredible. That's amazing. All right, let's end off the show, guys. I got to get out of here in literally 5 minutes because I have to check out at 11. I think let's end it off with Dan Ives because he had some stuff to say yesterday about the software revolution that is important. Real quick before that, and he mentioned Palantir and Salesforce, and I think it's important to get that perspective as we think about software. Let's just hear Kramer talk about Tesla real quick. What did he have to say?
Should point out Tesla shares up a nice 3% this morning, Jim.
Well, Tesla's an up stock. That's what I would call it if I were on a trading desk. I think it goes much higher. I think it probably goes to 500. I see nothing in between that.
Really?
500. Yeah, because I think that in the end, remember how I said that the younger people, they made the bet of Bitcoin because the president-elect told you? President-elects tell you Tesla's going higher.
No.
I think even if Kramer's bullish, Tesla can still go higher. All right, here's Dan Ives. Here's what he had to say about Palantir, AI software stocks, and where he sees this story going.
I think it's get the popcorn out because when you look at the AI party, now it's about the second, third, fourth derivatives playing out. I think Salesforce was the key moment last night is, this AI party, it's 10 p.m. and it goes to 4 a.m. I think tech stocks are up over 20% next year as the bears continue to have trouble.
By the way, we are at 10 p.m. He said we were at 9:30 like last week. So 30 minutes has passed after he saw Salesforce's earnings. And now we're at 10 p.m.
Trouble finding AI in their spreadsheets when they're hibernating in their caves.
I mean, what type of spend do we anticipate continues to make sense and at what level for some of the early kind of dipping the toe in the water of everything from agent force and what that could mean for companies all the way into, hey, how much data center space, how many more racks do we need just in order to make sure that we've got enough to run all the inference technology that's going to be necessary?
Yeah, I think you nailed it in terms of that question. Because look, I mean, to me, it's about the multiplier. For every dollar spent on an Nvda chip, there's an $8 to $10 multiplier across tech, across software, infrastructure, cybersecurity. That's why this is going to be a tech bull market that rages into next year. Because now it's about the second, third, fourth derivative. Because now software, they're on the dance floor at the AI party. They're no longer waiting behind the velvet rope. And now other tech players are trying to get in, cybersecurity, infrastructure. And I think that's, we're going to see a broadening out of this tech rally in terms of where we see this fourth industrial revolution.
Dan, how much of this is Trump related, meaning the Trump administration returning to the White House versus that unrelenting strong earnings growth that we have seen? And then, of course, this fear of missing out momentum that certainly seems to be at least somewhat of a factor in these gains.
Look, Trump, it's a Goldilocks scenario for tech. Deregulation, con at the FTC, clearly that's in the last days here. So that's going to be bullish for deal making. I think some of the antitrust concerns are going to start to go away. I mean, they'll still be there in the background. But then you look at $2 trillion of AI CapEx in a deregulatory environment with $6 trillion on the sidelines. And I just continue to say, like, haters will continue to hate. But more and more, you look at this AI spend, look at the use cases, obviously being led by the Messier of AI, Palantir, can't deny it. And I think that's why this party is going to rage on going into next year.
You know, as you're thinking about, and you mentioned Palantir, and I was looking at Palantir as we all were in our newsroom yesterday, just trying to figure out, okay, more government contracts, it makes sense. They've already leaned into that and it seemed like there was a setup for that. As you're thinking about the way forward for some of the names that have been, dare I say, culty tech names, but now have real contracts to actually back some of the growth on that trajectory too, how are you kind of evaluating what that runway may look like?
Well, it's like when you talk about culty, I think some of it is like retail essentially was ahead of institutional. I mean, you could say that for Tesla, you could say that for Palantir, you could say that for many names. I think the difference now is that the AI revolution is here. and the messy of AI, Palantir continue to be front and center. I mean, I think my question on Palantir, I think it's not about this stock going from a teenager to a senior citizen. It's about, could this be the next Oracle, the next SAP? I think that's really the question as we look out. And like, look, we've talked about in the show, the Bears have missed every transformational tech day in the last 15 years, waiting for some black swan event, focus on their spreadsheet, and they can't see it in their DCF. That's how they'll miss this AI revolution as well.
Do you think it's the next Oracle?
I believe Palantir could be the next Oracle, and there's nothing that makes me believe it can't be, given where we see enterprise, given AIP, given its special sauce. I don't see anyone else that could compete. And that's our view. From evaluation, you have to look out 3, 4, 5 years. But to deny the AI revolution's happening, that's like being negative against Otani, LeBron, Djokovic. That's where I view Palantir in that category, being the Messi of AI.
That was Dan Ives, folks. We got Chad right here in the chat. Chad had a very, let's just say a nice response today underneath a article. By the way, guys, Chad right here, you guys know how much he's done for this entire community. If you are on Twitter, please, please, please follow Chad. He's 80 followers away from 8,000. We're trying to get him to 10,000, hopefully by the end of the year. If Palantir has brought any value to your life, this guy is one of the reasons for why Palantir is doing what they're doing this year. So please make sure to follow him right here. I'm putting the Twitter in the chat. But look at his response right here to Dan Ives. So Wedbush analyst Dan Ives agrees with him, telling Axios that Palantir is leading the AI revolution on the software front and that the company could be the Oracle and Microsoft of the next decade. And Chad says minus the salespeople. There we go. There we go. That is the excitement you have from Chad, and that's the broader excitement you have in the entire company. You know, I mean, it is still remarkable, dude. I don't know how many salespeople Palantir has. I don't think it's that much more than they had last year. It's been the product. You guys saw Jack was on my show earlier this week. He's not a sales guy. He's an engineer, but obviously he's selling Palantir to clients in these boot camps. So they are selling with their product. Customers are loving it, and that is why we're seeing the current growth right now. There is his Twitter in the chat. Please, 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 please make sure to follow him again. I cannot thank Chad enough for what he's done this year for me. He was the only reason I got to go to AIPCon and meet Carp and all this stuff. Him and Iliano really set this up. So just been a blessing in my life this year, and he's really helped me take things to the next level. So please make sure to follow him here. Chad right here is in the chat with the link for his Twitter. All right, folks, that's it. I'm done for today. I'm happy we got to do the show, regardless of being in a environment that we are not usually used to. No market close today. There will be another thing happening. Keep updated with Twitter. You guys will find out in a few hours what's happening. Can't say anything yet, but you guys will see. And yeah, we'll be back tomorrow in the market open. TJ will be back tomorrow. We missed our segment last week, but TJ will be back. He made some new plays. He actually got out of TSLL, got into something new. So we'll talk about that. And market close tomorrow, we'll likely have Steve on Friday, and Steve will be discussing his S&P target for 2025, which is above 7,000. So we'll be talking about that. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this week. That's it. All right, folks, there we go. Word of the day, and let's get out of here. Chad says it's exciting. I know. Today's gonna be a little fun. Today's gonna be exciting. All right, word of the day. What do we got on word of the day? Word of the day is licorice. Word of the day is licorice.
Licorice.
Eager to consume delicious foods, the licorice guest savored the first bite of the cheese, appreciating its sharpness and complexity. The banquet hall filled with licorice sighs as the first taste of the chef's framed souffle melted on their tongues. All right, well, obviously, even though no one agrees with me, medium well steak is licorice. I don't even want to get into the debate, bro. Like, I believe it. I'm not saying it to be funny. I'm not saying it to be controversial. I'm not saying it to grab headlines. I think medium well is better than medium rare, and it's much more licorice. So it is what it is. It is what it is. All right. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you guys. Again, amazing investor day for Robinhood. Thank you to all the people that came up to me, said hi, took pictures. Love meeting you guys. I can't wait until 2025. Every single month, we're going to try to do a meetup in a different city. And then in the summer, we're definitely going to be doing Europe. So in July, June, whenever that Robinhood crypto event is, we're definitely going to Europe, do some international meetups. And got some big plans for 2025 to take the show to the next level. But deeply, deeply appreciate everyone being here every morning. And yeah, that investor day yesterday was special because you got to really see a lot of people that have been following not only my journey but the Robinhood journey, which has kind of been part of my journey in terms of covering them over the past year. And it was this time, guys. It was this time in 2023. I'm going to share the post on Twitter a little bit later. It was this time, December 2023, where I bought the first set of shares or options in Robinhood at around $8. And so a year later, I did not expect this to happen with the company, but they've executed. A lot of you guys have been on the journey as well. And, amidst hopefully the brand has executed well over the next year. And I think we're just getting started. I really do, dude. There's this, we talked about hyper growth before, but you work so hard to get some level of growth, then you start to scale, then you start to see what it means to really scale. And then it's like, how can we keep pushing the fucking limits and taking this to a different level? And 2025, that is the goal, to do that. And we're going to do that hopefully by meeting a lot of you guys as well, because you are the reason that I'm able to even do this in the first place. And Dan Ives just liked my comment about me saying LMAO to what Chad had to say. I love Dan Ives so much. All right. Love it, everybody. Thank you, guys. We'll see you tomorrow on the Market Open. Some big stuff today will be posted on X in the description. Tomorrow morning, Market Open 8:45. We'll be back live again. Bye, everyone. Have a good one. Good night.